Good morning. Welcome in. This update presented by the Jim Betrell Real Estate Team. Padres, they lose again last night. Their fourth straight loss. The Mariners complete the sweep of the Padres. Final score 6-1 last night. Padres get just 4 hits in the game. Day off today before they start a 3-game series in Arizona against the D-backs, who have been worse than the Padres lately. They've lost 8 straight games. NL West yesterday, Brewers beat the Rockies 7-6. Giants lose to the Angels 4-1. Dodgers beat the D-backs 2-0. Also in baseball, new Phillies pitcher Michael Lorenzen, who was acquired at the trade deadline, he threw a no-hitter yesterday for the Phillies over the Nationals. This is the 4th no-no in the major leagues this season. In the NFL, ex-Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs, he's sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison after that DUI in November of 2021 that resulted in the death of a young woman and her dog. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Betrell has the buyers. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
Woo! Happy Thursday to those who celebrate Big Rich, TD, and Fletch with you on this, I would say, glorious Thursday. If we were living in a vacuum and only just the way, we feel mattered, we're about to go golfing. We live in San Diego. We're cracking open energy drinks. We got Bar Cart Friday presented by Keg and Bottle coming up tomorrow. Life's good in Big Rich, TD, and Fletchland. The problem is we also are paid to, in part, talk about the Padres every day, which is a huge vibe kill.
Yeah. Football's back, right?
Yeah, football
Tonight,
is back.
Tons of games.
Yeah.
Amy Trask is coming on today, like my favorite NFL guest in the world.
Thank God. Because
Give me something else.
what we've witnessed over the past 4 games has been utter trash.
Don't worry, Rich. There was another players-only meeting last night.
Good. Good.
Were they planning trips to Cancun and Bora Bora?
Where they're launching a new website called Only Players, where only players meet and talk about the lousy hitting and bullpen performances.
I saw our buddy Darnay Tripp put out a tweet yesterday that said, "This feels like a game where you need a players-only meeting." And then like 5 minutes later, AJ Cassavell tweets out, "Padres clubhouse was closed for about 20 minutes after the game for a players-only meeting. Afterward, Manny Machado called their performance tonight unacceptable. He added, 'It's all up to us. There's 26 guys in here we believe in. We've just got to play better baseball.'"
Players only. Put your pinky rings up to the moon.
No, you can't sing Lizzo anymore.
That's not Lizzo.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
No,
Come
no,
on
it's
now.
Bruno
Come on.
Mars,
Yes, Bruno
right?
Mars.
Yeah.
Come on.
24 karat minutes in the air.
By my count, this is like the 6th players-only meeting we know about this year.
At playersonly.com.
What are they talking about in the players-only meeting?
Honestly, I mean,
Like, hey, you guys suck.
Pizza.
maybe Maui. Maybe they're concerned about Maui.
Yeah, I mean, could be wildfires.
Yeah, $19 trips. By the way, getting out of Maui.
Right.
Leave.
Right. Yeah.
I'm concerned about Maui. Did you see the videos yesterday?
It's horrific.
It honestly looks like a scene out of a movie. And so again, we mentioned it yesterday. For more news about it, go over to 600 Kogo News. But many people dead. I mean, it's apocalyptic. So anybody who's listening to us from the islands or anybody who knows somebody from Maui, our heart breaks for you.
Yeah.
And just be safe and check in, because that's some awful stuff. Yeah, I mean, you know what? Honestly, that kind of gives you the appropriate perspective on what's happening with the Padres. Like, we're so lucky that something this tragic isn't happening here in San Diego. The worst we have to complain about this morning is the fact that the Padres stink. We're doing okay.
And the Padres are like the luckiest team in baseball, because no matter how bad they've stunk over the last 2 weeks, they really haven't changed all that much. Like, since before the the Dodgers series, where they only won 1 of 3, and then the Mariners series where they got swept, they're still 4.5 games back instead of 4 games back.
Are you getting burned on that though?
So burned.
Yeah, like I'm like, I'm so over it. Okay, yeah, that's great. 4.5 games back. It might as well be 4,000 games back.
What I'm really over is watching this offense play baseball. In back-to-back games where the first game, the bullpen was fantastic, and it was a bullpen game the entire way. And then the second game, Yu Darvish goes out and throws a gem, and the offense cannot do anything to put any sort of pressure on a guy who's making his major league debut.
Yep.
Like, it's just disgusting, and I'm sick of it.
That's the story, man. I mean, that's the story. They scored 1 run in the series.
And it was...
They have 5 hits total?
Yeah, 5 hits. No, 6 hits, because there was one in the 9th last night. But no matter what, the 1 run they got was off of a little nubber by Juan Soto that rolled to the pitcher.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. I really don't. You're 4.5 games out, but like you said, it could be a million. It just, this team has no heart right now. They are literally talking out loud about how they're giving up. Juan Soto, this is a direct quote Ben shared with us this morning from an article. I don't know whose article this is from. This is Kevin Acee? Okay, so this is from Kevin Acee's article last night. We've got to play as a team, Juan Soto said. We got to go out there and grind every day, grind every at-bat. It's been very inconsistent. Some days we do, some days we don't. We got to do it every day. Days like this series, we just give up. Like literally, we give up instead of keep grinding, keep pushing. We've got to forget about yesterday and keep moving. So there you have it in plain English. This team that is being paid the 3rd most money in Major League Baseball this year. Well, there are people out there sweating on roofs so that they can buy season ticket packages to bring their kids to games, or collecting trash off the road, or, listen, noble professions, all of them, putting rebar up and pouring concrete, like people who are spending their hard-fought, earned salaries to bring their family out to Padres games. You've got a millionaire talking about giving up. It is brutal.
Does that sound like a guy who wants to re-sign?
Nope.
No.
That was my first thought when I saw that quote.
And you know what? Good riddance. I honestly,
he's been like one bright spot.
Who cares?
Yeah, but
the attitude is everything.
1 million%. 1 million%. And you expect me to be there every single minute of every single day as a fan? And you go out there and go, yeah, I give up. I give up. Wait, what are you talking about? You give up. This infuriates me. And you know what's sad is I've really been loving Juan Soto. I mean, and the more that you get to know him, I think he's a fun guy. I want to like him, and I do like him. But when you throw out something like that, I'm like, bye.
I'm glad he said it, because we've all seen it.
Well, it's finally the truth comes out, right?
Everyone's seen it, and everyone's been waiting for this press conference where a player's actually honest about what's going on in that Padres clubhouse. He's not saying I'm giving up, and I'm not seeing Juan Soto giving up. That dude's busting his ass every day.
Bro, he's saying we. He's taking ownership.
He's saying we because he's part of the team.
So you are part of we here.
You're absolutely right, but he's not saying, look, I'm not in it. I'm not here. I'm watching Juan Soto every day work his ass off.
Why wouldn't he call out the team then?
That's we.
But why wouldn't he say, look, I'm here giving it my all every day. I can't carry the team by myself.
Look, here's
that's a really bad look.
Here's the deal. This is a mess. And I truly mean that when I say that. Anybody who is capable of giving up when you are paid handsomely to play a kid's sport. Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It is just ridiculous. They should be fighting through whatever adversity comes, because, like, again, to crystallize the perspective, I mean, you have literally people diving into the ocean to save their lives. This isn't that. You're going out there and swinging a bat for a living, and you're telling me that you can't handle the mental anguish of getting behind in the 8th and keeping the fire in your belly alive. Like, get real. It's got to be infuriating for anybody in that clubhouse who actually does care, because if you're one of those few players who does, one of these stars even who's being paid millions and millions of dollars, who actually does have the fire still alive inside of him, who wants to see this season go well, and you're playing with guys who are willing to throw in the towel when things get tough.
Yeah.
It's got to be nauseating. I feel for those guys, but anybody who's willing to admit that they're giving up, I mean, he's speaking for himself. He is speaking for himself. He's speaking for the team. He's saying but this is a huge problem, and he should be a leader. He should be one of the reasons why the Padres have no quit in him.
Yeah.
This is as bad of a statement, as bad of a state of a team as I think I've ever seen.
This is going to be a historic. I mean, look, again, they could turn things around. I mean, something could happen. Maybe this is the quote that lights the fire. Maybe this changes everything.
Yeah.
They start winning. All of a sudden, the quote is starts to be forgotten. I mean, it starts to go by the wayside. You turn things around. But this is going to be the way, if this continues the way it is right now, this is going to be one of the most historic implosions of any team ever in the history of sports, not just baseball.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is incredible. And it just blows my mind that this could even be a quote from Juan Soto.
It's bad. It's a bad look. And the Manny Machado quotes, I think, look bad too for what was said in that players only meeting. But who knows, man? 4.5 games back. You're going to play the Diamondbacks now, who, believe it or not, the Diamondbacks have been worse than the Padres lately. The Diamondbacks had such an incredible start to this season. They've now lost 8 straight games. They are falling down the wild card rankings. Padres get them for 3. Now, look at it one of 2 ways. This team is reeling, the Diamondbacks. You can go get some wins. Also, this team is due. D-backs have lost 8 straight. They're due for a win.
Yeah, all that.
Now the Padres are too. Is that 4 straight games they've lost? And none of them they were even competitive in.
So would 85 wins get them into the playoffs?
Dude, I don't know. I have no faith that this team can get to 85.
I mean,
I do think 85 gets you in though.
Well, then that would be 30 more wins. They'd have to go 30 and 17.
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is kind of not exactly the same because the picture looks different here in the month of August than it did in the month of August last year. But this is kind of the spot the Padres found themselves in. And as they were coming down the home stretch last season, there were a couple of teams vying for that final wild card playoff spot. The Padres were one of them. They end up getting in, and then they end up making a run all the way to the league championship series. So it is possible.
Oh, it's possible.
But this sort of attitude, like I tell my kids this, everything in life starts with attitude. If you are going to accomplish anything, it has to start with I can. You have to have an I can attitude. I can do X, I can do Y, I can do Z. If you don't have the belief in yourself that you're going to be able to do anything, you won't accomplish anything. That is the truth. This team, it feels like when they get behind, it is a Herculean task for them to get beyond that.
Yeah.
So when they trail early or they trail late, as soon as this team gets behind, they go belly up. And it's sickening. And you know what? The honesty from Juan Soto, I will say, is refreshing. Because when you're hearing the same old BS from a locker room over and over again, that's nauseating too.
And a lot of it's been, I don't know, we just need to be better. Like that statement is done. I don't need to hear that anymore.
But you have the benefit of doubt. You know, you like to hear that people are trying. Like you do like to hear, like, look, I can tell you right now, we're working hard. Guys are taking extra BP. Guys are getting in early to stretch and to do all the right things. We just have to put it together still. I know fans are struggling out there. They're trying to put their hard-earned cash down on us to make a big run this season, and we're only 4.5 games back. We're keeping an eye on that too. We feel like we're a team that could do special things, and trust me when I tell you we're trying. We're this close. That would be encouraging. Hearing from one of your top-paid players, one of the quote-unquote best players in baseball, that you're giving up. Holy God.
So the difference between this year and last year, you mentioned last year they're in kind of a similar spot. Last year there was 4 teams vying for 2 spots in the wild card.
Yeah.
Right? This year there's like 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a lot tougher road to hoe this year.
It would appear that the Diamondbacks, well, I mean, with a couple wins, if San Diego wins the series, they're going to jump them in the wild card race
By one game.
That is correct. But Cincinnati, who's been on a bit of a skid, and then you got the Cubs,
who are trending.
And the Cubs, all of a sudden, they're figuring out their season. So you're staring down them going, now you have to hope that they start to blow it. I mean, that's where your season's at. If you're starting to play perfect, you're still crossing your fingers that the Cubs just absolutely implode.
And those are the 4 teams that are outside the wild card right now.
That is correct.
There's still 3 that are in: the Phillies, the Giants, and the Marlins, who are all at least 4.5 games better than the Padres. The Giants are 6.5 better, 7 games better, and the Phillies are 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's look, anybody who has their hope extinguished after watching what they watched last night and they want to move on to the football season. Yeah, I'm sure. Go for it, because honestly, I'm not saying this team's hopeless, but this is what quitting sounds like. If they somehow can cobble together the effort it's going to take to win 37 of their or 30 of their last 47 games, more power to them, because it probably will take about 85. So what we're talking about, 29-19, 29-18, 28-19, something like that. Yeah. That's what it's going to take for the Padres to make the postseason this year.
And there's a bit of a feeling with me, at least these past 4 or 5 games, definitely the past 4, where you start to get the feeling of, okay, you know what? I guess just prove me wrong at this point. Yeah. Just I'll let it roll and prove me wrong. And if things start turning around, well, then you'll pull me back in.
And the chips are stacked against him because Fernando is not Fernando. Last night, he had some terrible at-bats where he was half swinging at sliders that were a foot off the plate. It was awful. Joe Musgrove, we don't exactly know when he's going to return. We know it's going to be a while. You're not going to have him for the majority of those 47 games. It's looking ugly. When Hassan Kim and Luis Campusano are your 2 best players on the team right now, it's looking ugly. Paris on YouTube, Cigar and Monster on hand, ready to chat Padres, puke, turd. Good morning, Paris. Enjoy those. And Dom, you writer, Padres final record 80-82. I'm done with this season of horrors.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be the
80-82. They'd be lucky to get to 80-82.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, the trend would be worse than that, but that's if they start to pick things up, if they start to turn it around. Look, they could go in and sweep against the Diamondbacks, and then that makes things look a little bit better. But
you want to bet? I got $1 says they don't.
I mean, I'll take it. It's $1, but you're probably right. I'll probably owe you $1.
YouTube, Big Rich, TD, Fletch, if you want to jump on, that's where Paris and Dobby Ryder were dropping their comments. I think today let's tweak things a little bit and let's do 2 of our 3 giveaways on YouTube only.
Okay.
So new subscribers to YouTube, because we got to get those numbers up. New subscribers to YouTube will be thrown in the hopper. Whoever wins must ask you a question, gets to pick their prize of our 3 ticket giveaways. The other 2 will go to new YouTube subscribers.
Okay, cool. Right. Yeah, so if you want to win Godsmack Godsmack, Darius Ruckers, or Dirks Bentley tickets, depending on what isn't chosen at Mustache You a Question in the 7 o'clock hour, a new YouTube subscriber is going to get those. So get on youtube.com right now, type in Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, and you'll find us there. Also, we'll get to the Philadelphia Phillies because they had a special night in Major League Baseball history last night. Yeah. It's gracious.
Trade acquisition does really well.
That worked out. There's this. Something happened to us last night that was special and moving, and again, puts everything in perspective. One of our loyal listeners, Bob Armstrong, who loves San Diego sports, but has now spread his listening of this show to New Mexico, where his family's from, has a mom, and his mom, unfortunately, has a non-cancerous tumor in her brain, and she's going to be going through a course of radiation to help mitigate the effects of said tumor. And in good spirits and laughing a lot, and we know she's listening today, and we know Bob's listening today, and he asked us to do something that only our show, frankly, could do. Which is we're going to name Her Tumor today. So
probably need help on the text line.
Yeah, so 70470. If you want to name Bob's mom's tumor, go ahead and get your suggestions into the old box.
So he DM'd me on Instagram.
Your message with team.
DM'd me on Instagram last night and said, my siblings and I have been trying to come up with a hilarious name for it, but I want Big Rich, TD, and Fletch to name the tour because I guess on his recent trip to New Mexico, he shared our show with his mom, and she loves it. So, Mama Armstrong, if you're out there listening, we love you. Yeah. You are a strong-ass woman, and thank goodness it's non-cancerous, but we will do our best to give it a hilarious name.
Absolutely.
My first thought is Krang from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
He does seem like a tumor.
Like Krang. he's in that giant bot suit
Yeah,
that he.
yeah.
Yeah. Look up. Anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, look up Krang Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then just imagine that's a brain tumor.
He is a brain, I think, with arms.
I'm
I
pretty
think
sure.
yeah, that's
He's
what
got
he was.
tiny little nubby arms. He's got tiny little nubby legs, and he can't move on his own. So the giant robot suit picks him up and then puts him inside the belly of the body,
Yeah.
and then he operates the giant robot suit. So I vote for Krang for now. I'll think of some other names.
That's a good one right off the get-go. Also, we've failed to mention there's a mustache back in this room.
Oh my gosh. Ben
Wow.
Fletcher has one of the most beautiful,
Disgusting.
he's unleashed
Wow.
one of the most beautiful displays of facial hair I have ever seen.
It's phenomenal.
It was a lot longer before Kendall got a hold of me.
Why? What? What?
She hates this.
Does she keep like clippers in her pocket? How does she do that?
Yeah, no
Well,
kidding.
no. So last night Kendall cuts my hair because
Okay.
I don't need to go to Supercuts to get them just to take it down to nothing.
Yeah.
And
That's a good point. Great savings.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so as she was cutting my hair last night, I took the
I didn't
razor
ask.
and just went straight up my face with it.
Yeah.
Just total impulse move. Don't know what I was doing.
Wow.
And she got really angry and then left. And so I had to finish cutting my hair. And then I trimmed it down to a mustache. And
Perfect.
she did not like
It's a
that.
great night.
I think the direct quote was, "Good luck ever kissing me again."
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
Wow.
And I said, "I'll shave it off." And she said,
Never
"No, it's
gonna
even
kiss
worse
again.
without it."
Careless feet have got no rhythm.
I think she just hates my face and likes as much of it covered as possible.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, she did marry you, so she's making major sacrifices.
Yeah, and made me have a beard at the wedding. I didn't know this, but Joel on YouTube says, against the Mariners starter yesterday, a week ago, our AA team put 6 hits and 3 runs on this guy. Today, our MLB team put 2 hits, 1 run.
Right.
Disgusting.
Let's just flip flop them.
Yeah,
Let's get the sod poodles up to the big leagues.
You know what? Give it a shot.
Um,
Bring down the storm just for a game or two.
bring down the storm.
Could you imagine?
Go. I mean, at this point, yeah. Honestly,
I'd give it a go.
Send Machado,
Manny,
Bogarts
Tatis, Bogey.
to Lake Elsinore, and let's get whoever they've got. Single A ball. All right. Coming up, like we mentioned, huge ticket giveaway day. Godsmack, Dirks Bentley, Darius Rucker, all those tickets coming up later in the show. For more tickets and information, go to Ticketmaster.com. What do you got?
Today, we're going golfing.
Oh, we're
Yeah,
going
we
off
are.
on
And you know what we're
yeah,
doing while we're going golfing? Maybe during the show today, drinking some long balls.
Hell yeah. We
Damn
are.
right we are.
Woo.
Little hard iced tea.
I can't
There
wait.
is nothing better for the game of golf, whether it's an early tee time like we're playing today or a twilight session. Long ball is the perfect drink for you because it's the world's finest lemon iced tea, ready to drink cocktail. It keeps the party going all day long. 123 calories, just 5 grams of sugar. Long balls have that clean, refreshing finish that'll keep you in the game all day long. Like we said, we're going golfing today. Trav, when are we going to crack our first one?
What time's tee off? 10?
10?
Probably 9,
Yeah, I
25.
was thinking that's a good call.
Yeah.
You can find long ball now at more than 20 San Diego golf courses, including Carlton Oaks, which is where we're going to play today, an awesome old school San Diego course. You can visit longballshooter.com for a full list of retailers and sign up for the Long Ball Challenge for your chance to win $10,000 in cash and prizes. Also, head over to sportsSD.com because today we're taking our buddy Aaron out golfing. How did we take Aaron out golfing? Well, he listens to the show and signed up to play a free round of golf with Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. You can do the exact same thing. I know our buddy 949 on the text line has entered for every single day of August.
Perfect.
So good luck beating him.
perfect.
But there's plenty of room. You can sign up every single day. Head on over to sportssd.com. Get on down to the contests and promotions tab. Not only the rest of our giveaways that we do on this station, but the free round of golf with Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, presented by Long Ball. Go long. Tease nuts. Please drink responsibly.
I can't wait.
I'm
I
so excited.
absolutely can't wait.
Dude, they have a par 3 on this course that sets up so nicely for you
Perfect.
and your driver. It's like
I'm-
125 yards.
That's me. It's all
It's
day
over a
long.
little ravine. You just
Ooh.
got to get it airborne and let it land.
125 is maybe 20 yards short of what I need.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but
It's the closest I've ever been to a hole in one was on this course.
I'm doing it.
I was less than a
Today's the
foot
day.
away.
Today's the day. Today is the day. Hey, where do you want to go next? Do we want to talk about Philadelphia or do we want to talk about the biggest villain in sports?
I'm still thinking tumors.
Let's talk about tumors. We got to name the tumors. We got to go to the text line. And meanwhile, in Philadelphia, they school us on how to work the trade deadline. We'll talk about it next. How do you work the trade deadline in the correct manner? Well, the Philadelphia Phillies shows how. We'll talk about it next.
This update presented by the Jim Betrayal Real Estate Team. Padres, they lose again last night. That's their fourth straight loss, and the Mariners do complete the sweep of the Padres in the two-game series. Final score yesterday, 6-1. Padres get just 4 hits in the game. Day off today before they start a 3-game series in Arizona against the Diamondbacks, who lately have been worse than the Padres. They've lost 8 straight. NL West yesterday, Brewers beat the Rockies 7-6. Giants lose to the Angels 4-1. Dodgers beat the D-backs 2-0. Also in baseball, new Phillies pitcher Michael Lorenzen, he did something yesterday that was pretty cool. We'll be talking about it coming up next. And in the NFL, ex-Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs, he's sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison after that DUI from November 2021 that resulted in the death of a young woman. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Betrayal has the buyers. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
San Diego Sports 760. It's Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. A whole bunch of tickets to give away again today. Dirks Bentley at North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. That's August 18th. Godsmack at the same place. North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. That's August 27th. Darius Rucker is going to be at Gallagher Square on August 26th. You can go get tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com or just keep listening here for your chance to win. We are going to give away 1 pair during Must Ask You a Question. It will be dealer's choice. And then we're giving away the other 2 pairs on YouTube. So if you want to win, go subscribe to our YouTube channel, Big Rich TD Fletch. That's where you want to be.
There is a wild story breaking in the world of golf right now.
All right.
And it's a very personal one.
All right.
So everyone knows Phil Mickelson, San Diegan, but not really a San Diegan.
Yeah, Sun Devil.
He's burned a lot of bridges here.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a new book by Billy Walters out, which is called Gambler. And Billy Walters, he co-owned a gambling venture with Phil Mickelson for like the last 5 years.
Okay.
In his new book, he says that he believes that the golfer bet $1 billion on sports over the last 3 decades.
Wow. $1
billion on various sports bets, like on NFL games, on just rounds of golf with guys like Charles Barkley, which we've heard that those rounds can get quite steep in terms of cost.
$1 billion.
$1 billion.
That is a massive number.
Now, is that the amount of money he's wagered or the amount of money he's lost?
Wagered.
Okay. See,
Yeah. So
And
that could happen if you're wagering. If you wager $1 million and then you won $1 million and then you wagered it again.
yeah, you can double it up, or I mean, just think about that. Like the amount of money staked and then winnings combined equals $1 billion. It's still an enormous money, but it just doesn't paint him as big of a loser as that initial statement sounds like.
It's still $1 billion.
It's a lot of money to risk.
But think about this, though. I mean, God, that's a number that's hard to wrap your head around to gamble with. Because let's say you're betting $1 million every time you gamble on anything, right? I mean, $1 million. You'd have to do that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible.
In Phil's defense, he has been on like the Forbes top earning list for athletes for the last like decade, because every year he's making so much money. And then his deal with Live Golf was massive, and he's always had a bunch of endorsements. That's how Phil really made his name in golf.
Well, a lot of people said the reason why he was so eager to jump in with Live Golf in the first place for way less than, say, a Tiger Woods would have defected from the PGA is because of all the gambling he could use to be a little liquid. You know, like it doesn't hurt to have Uncle Phil fill up the purse again because it gets emptied out so often. I'll try to find the clip if we bring this up again. But even just for our own edification, if you type in Phil Mickelson, Bryson DeChambeau,
I saw this. Yeah,
there's a side bet that they cut ahead of one of these live tournaments during practice rounds, where just the way Phil Mickelson is verbalizing the terms of the bet, you can tell it's not his first rodeo.
it's like he says something along the lines of it's $1,000 per 9.
Yeah.
Per the 9 holes. You push when you get to some number, which I don't know what that even means.
He's using all these words. He's like, yeah, listen, we're going to go slappies on the back 9. We're going to go best ball front 9. And if we push, then all that goes into the pot. It's going to be a revolving round robin. And on the other side, we're going to add $10K for charity. Got it? Cool. Okay. Who's teeing off first?
And then he goes,
flip tees.
And then he goes,
and you're just like, what?
And then he goes, no Venmo, no PayPal. I don't do any of that BS. It's straight cash.
Yeah. And Bryson actually started going, he goes, straight cash. He goes, that's right. Straight cash. I'm just like, what is it? It's like when you find out your uncle's a hitman, you're just like, wait, Uncle Bob? Yeah, no, I murder for hire. Anyways, look, we got to get to the tee box.
So today when we meet up with Aaron out at Carlton Oaks, I'm going to use all the terms Phil uses. $1,000, 9 holes, push, doozy, don't see, whoopsie, wowsy.
It really was. It was like that. He's saying all these words I don't understand. And Bryson's going, yeah. He's like bouncing. As Phil's talking, he's literally bouncing one of his Titleist Pro V1s off of his driver and catching it while not breaking his stare into Bryson DeChambeau's eyes. And he's like,
Lord.
got it, good. All right, let's flip tees. I was like, what does that even mean? It's unbelievable. Phil Mickelson is a degenerate golf gambler. And if he has staked $1 billion,
and that's his best quality.
I will say this. I kind of dig that spirit. I'm too much of a coward to stake too much on anything.
$20 feels like too much a lot of the time. That's why I told Travis earlier, you want to bet $1?
You got to have I truly feel like people who sit at a poker table or guys like Phil who can play around a golf and keep their hands steady while they have, I don't know, 50 G's, 100 G's, $500,000, $1 million on a round of golf, and keep their hands steady. They're skydivers. These are thrill seekers. These are people who launch themselves off of ramps and do double backflips on motorcycles.
Seriously.
Like that, they're the same human beings. Their brains are wired the same way. You have to be so used to adrenaline that you literally, to feel alive, you need to launch yourself out of a plane while having $500,000 wagered on the golf match that you're going to play in when you land from your parachute.
And that feeling is addictive, and that's scientifically proven.
Oh, yeah.
So my brother teaches like a health class at the junior college he coaches at, and he said it's like on the scale of things, really good sex is here, methamphetamine is here, and then it's like big win gambling
is
here.
way ahead.
Way ahead of it. Like
Yeah,
that
actually, I guess your
initial
point.
dump of serotonin or whatever toxins go into your blood from a big gambling win is that much further
Dopamine.
ahead.
It's dopamine. Those neurotransmitters getting hit with all that dopamine, you just feel it wash over you. It feels like the greatest high and the greatest like feeling of comfort. It feels like a warm hug every single inch of your body. You're just like, I'm alive,
Dude,
man.
and I won $600 at a slot machine one time. I've never felt better in my entire life.
Wow, really?
And that was $600.
I've been chasing that high for the rest of my life. Playing a sex and machine slot game at Vegas Cosmopolitan.
I haven't even gotten to meth on that list. So,
I haven't even gotten, never mind.
I haven't even done the sex.
can you jump over something, or do you have to hit meth first?
Done meth.
Yeah.
Still a virgin.
Speaking of cash in hand, we do have an
Right at the
RIP.
camera.
I have a little more money in my bank today because the silver bullet's gone.
Oh
Yeah.
Travis,
dude.
I want to thank you for all your effort in the life of the silver bullet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
it's
all
fine.
let's
It's
all
fine.
eulogize
Yeah.
it really quick. I just want to say this about the silver bullet. Yeah, listen, you were unreliable at best. But there were moments where when Ben turned the ignition and you coughed to life, I thought to myself, he's going to die in that car. And that made me happy.
Jerk.
I didn't know that there could be any vessel that could hold that many old French fries and crumbs, cracker bits, wrappers. But you did it. And you did it well.
She was a dirty girl.
I didn't spend a whole lot of time inside, but I did spend some time under the hood. I did see what she was working with. It wasn't impressive. And it was dirty. But that didn't stop me from getting in there.
Wow, that was really touching. Ben, anything you'd like to say?
She was a dirty girl. She was a good girl. She always held my little Gumby figurine right there in the vents, which I haven't found a good place yet in the Tacoma, but I will.
Mhm.
But as I saw her go up onto that bed of the flatbed trailer yesterday, praying that the guy wouldn't turn it on to check if it worked, I got overrun with emotions about the times in the back seat, about the times in the front seat, about the times driving home from Bar Cart Friday, where it was a little scary. I love you, Silver Bullet. Have fun in car heaven.
Yeah, and even though your heater didn't work, you still kept our hearts warm.
You will be missed.
I'm so afraid to love you.
Coming up next on Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, no mulligans necessary. No way. We stick with golf on the other side. That's next. Was it the right move? We'll discuss coming up next. Yeah, no hitter was thrown last night, not by any Padres pitcher, but an NL West rival, the Philadelphia Phillies. On the other side of the trade deadline, Michael Lorenzen,
Come on.
who came from the Detroit Tigers. He played for the Reds for a really long time, but most recently with the Tigers, comes to the Phillies in his first start as a Phillies baseball player. No hits. That's just.
And he did it in Vans.
He did it in Vans?
He had special customized Vans cleats.
That's
But they look
cool.
like skater shoes.
I'm in.
Dude, he looks like a skater too.
That's my
Yeah,
guy.
that's awesome.
Gosh.
You know who's not awesome? Jay Monahan, PGA Tour commissioner.
Hey, he suffers from anxiety.
Hey.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
He's probably anxious about, I was going to spend those billions.
Yeah. So Jay Monahan acknowledged yesterday that he made some mistakes during the rollout of the June 6th framework agreement between the PGA Tour, DP World Tour, and the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, saying that he wished he handled the situation a bit differently, but ultimately believes that it's best for the future of the tour and that discussions are on the correct path. Jay, why don't you just stay in the back seat? Because every time you talk, everybody's reminded about how disastrous this was for the world of golf, for the world of sport, and your face is associated with it. It's just, we hate your face.
I do wonder if he could, like, if with his contract with the PIF, or is that what it's called, Public Investment Fund? Yeah. If he could just go away. You know, like he was the one who got put in charge of making it happen, and then they could just pay him off to be gone.
Here's what's fun, though, is he comes out and says, yeah, you know what? There were some mistakes made. I wish I would have handled that differently. But
yeah, there's always a but.
But it was the right move.
Well, the mistakes he made are not consulting with any of the top players on the PGA Tour, who he basically was begging to stay on the PGA Tour for so long, and then he goes and immediately does exactly what he was asking them not to do.
Money
so
talks,
like
man.
Rory, John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, they're all just pissed they didn't get the money.
Yeah.
Now he ended up getting the money.
Well,
So they're the only people who get screwed.
And they'll, by the way, they'll never get money.
Never.
And here's the reason why. And by the way, in some part for good reason. And I'll explain that in a second. But there's a monopoly in golf now. When the Public Investment Fund owns the DP World Tour, owns the PGA, and owns Live Golf, that means there is no longer a competitive market.
Right.
You can't be looking for a job in golf if you're one of the best golfers or even one of the second best golfers or third best golfers, whatever tier you golf at. There's no other league now that you can compete to be signed by for a huge signing bonus like Bryson DeChambeau and Patrick Reed and Phil Mickelson did when they jumped over to LIV.
Mhm.
They got hundreds of millions of dollars collectively because they were taking an enormous amount of risk from public scrutiny, potentially joining a league that won't exist in a couple of years and will fold, even though that felt like a far cry given how well funded this league was. But you get my point. They were onboarding a significant amount of risk. And now what? Rory all of a sudden wants to get paid like them? Rory didn't take the risk. He didn't take the jump. I'm sorry, Rory. Now, as much as I dislike what LIV Golf did to golf and what the Public Investment Fund is doing to golf, the guys who jumped ship on the PGA to join the PIF and to join LIV, they took some risk.
And so financially, they made the right choice.
Well, and they're rewarded for it.
Yeah.
I mean, now, look, you trade away a piece of your soul, but I mean, I guess that has a price tag.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, probably.
Well, I
In
mean,
a heartbeat.
Well, who was one of the first guys? Phil Mickelson.
Phil was like the first big name.
$100 million.
And Dustin Johnson got more than that. Tiger Woods was offered way more than that.
Yeah.
Rory McIlroy was
Actually,
offered way more than that.
I'll go back and say, I don't know what I would do if I were in some of these golfers' situation. Like if I'm in Rory's situation.
Rory's already rich. Like
Right.
rich enough to where his kids, his kids' kids, his kids' kids' kids.
Generational wealth.
Yeah.
So maybe I would be more principled if I was in a situation like Rory. But I know this in that principle, I wouldn't then go on the other side and be like, yeah, so I should be paid like them too.
Right.
You know, it's like, no, buddy, like,
Right.
I'm sorry. That's not the way the world works.
Which I don't think he's doing.
Well-
but he is pissed off. And I think probably rightfully so. And he's pissed off directly at Jay Monahan because Jay Monahan for months, 1 year pretty much exactly, because that was how long it took for LIV to infiltrate and take over the PGA Tour. Like for that whole time, Jay Monahan was saying, Rory, you are the poster child here. You are the one standing up to terrorism in golf.
Just saying, that's not a lot of time.
No, it was 1 year.
It didn't take much time to topple everything.
1 year for the money to get to Jay
The
Monahan.
walls came down in the first hour. They were in our courtyard in hour 2. Hour 3, they stormed the castle, pillaged and raped everybody.
Which again,
It was over.
We talk about with Roger Goodell and Adam Silver and who's baseball dummy, punchable face.
Oh, Rob Manfred.
That guy, punchable face.
Very.
All those guys just take the bullets. Jay Monahan's the same way. He's the commissioner of the PGA Tour. So even if this wasn't his decision, he's the one who's been getting all the backlash.
Yeah, listen, here's the deal. This amount of money that was, I'm guessing. Now, again, this is conjecture. This isn't truth. This is not known. This is just something I'm making up. But
he got stripped off a few $100 million.
Say a few $100 million between friends. You know, Jay Monahan and some of the high-ranking officials with the Saudi public investment funds.
Probably a few $100 million that's in a Saudi bank that
They sat down together and he
no one
said, you
knows
know what? I actually wanted in a Swiss bank. If you could, that would be nice. Somewhere neutral.
Right.
Somewhere
Maybe
that
just on my mega yacht floating in the ocean.
Yeah,
keep the
just
money
piles
there.
of cash.
could you guys actually buy me a yacht and just fill it with money? That would be for the best. Like, but that's what I'm assuming happened. Okay, that's my assumption that Jay Monahan is going to pretend to be all upset and anxious over all of this that he's been the face of. But then if he needs to cry, he's going to have a good cry on a pillow made of $100 bills.
That is
You think
correct.
that's comfortable?
I actually know it'd be horribly uncomfortable. Maybe
still
I
kinda
guess
wanna
unless
do
you
it.
Scrunch them up.
I'd figure it out. Yeah.
I would
So-
I would shred the hundreds to make it more comfortable.
That's a good point. That's a good call.
Because-
shred them down to feathery down like substance.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make them into sawdust.
Look, golf is in bad shape. And here's the reason why. Any industry that all of a sudden gets monopolized, it gets watered down, it gets diluted, it becomes less competitive, which means that as a result, the product suffers. A competitive marketplace is always what you want. It's how you get the best products to hit the market. You don't want one brand to overtake an entire and corner entire market because they get to set their prices.
Right.
They get to make an inferior product to make better profits. And so that's what's going to happen to golf unless the U.S. government steps in and tries to bust this up. I don't know if they're going to be successful because this also includes international law as well. And the amount of money the Saudis have tied up in the U.S. in the first place, including government officials, is an astounding amount. So I think golf is going to unfortunately start heading on a downward trajectory. And that's a shame because I felt like it was heading for the first time since Tiger Woods really started struggling with injury, I thought like it was heading in a better direction. And
so
it could end up going the opposite direction.
Professional golf, you're 100% right. It's going in the wrong direction. What I will say, and this is a much newer trend, it's very different, but I mean, I'm hooked on it. YouTubers. Golf YouTubers now have like 750,000 subscribers. They're getting million plus views on most of their videos. Like they are starting to outpace some of the lesser tournaments in the actual PGA Tour.
It's a great point.
And it's wild to see. But have you ever heard of Good Golf?
Yep.
It's this group of 23 to 27-year-old guys who are just guys. And none of them are great golfers. Some of them had some time on the Korn Ferry Tour, but they're all good enough. But they're engaging and compelling. And they're putting out content every single day. And they have these good majors where they invite a bunch of lesser known, maybe Korn Ferry Tour players, like amateur golfers who come and compete in these things. And they're getting 1.5, 2 million viewers per YouTube video they launch.
Yeah.
Which that's more than a lot of golf tournaments.
If you go to PGA now, granted, they have television network packages and things like that. But if you go to YouTube and you check out PGA Tour's subscribers and also their views on their videos on YouTube, I mean, you're talking about numbers that dwarf nearly every video I've ever seen on PGA Tour's official YouTube account. So, yeah, I mean, look, the world's shifting in that direction where people aren't so astounded by production value. People aren't so astounded by, these singular people at the tippy top of the mountain that all of us have to like give credit to them because they're famous, and that fame just sort of snowballs into more fame. Like you could be in the basement of your mom's house with a cell phone and you can launch an empire. That's what Mr. Beast did.
Yeah.
That's what some of these YouTube golfers are doing.
Mr. Beast averages more views than the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And he literally doesn't know how to sell it to advertisers anymore because nobody has enough money to spend on advertising on his channel.
That's a bummer.
Right?
I feel as bad for him as I do Jay Monahan.
He was on a podcast and he was talking like he had meetings with some of the bigger companies in the United States of how they could advertise on his station. And he was like, well, this is what I get. This is what the Super Bowl gets. Like I should get paid as much as they get paid on the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with that logic, though, is if he says it's $1,000 a second and they said, yeah, we're not going to pay that, it's not worth $1,000 a second. I mean, that's how it works.
Yeah.
I mean, if
the market determines value.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if a car is worth $50,000 but nobody's buying it, guess what? They're gonna lower the price.
It's worth 48, and if not that, then 45.
Exactly.
And if not that, at some point it'll just end up on the back of a flatbread truck,
like the Jeep.
Like the Jeep. Coming up next, you can't always get what you want. Also, the juice is loose.
Oh, it is.
And we must ask you a question for concert tickets. We have 3 pairs on the other side. Stick around. It's Big Rich, TD, and Fletch.
This update is presented by Staples Stores. It's hour 2 on Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. Padres, they lose again last night. That's their 4th straight loss. The Mariners complete the sweep of the Pods. Final score 6-1 yesterday. Padres get just 4 hits in the game. It's the day off today before they start a 3-game series in Arizona against the D-backs, who have lost 8 straight games. NL West yesterday, Brewers beat the Rockies 7-6. Giants lose to the Angels 4-1. Dodgers beat the Diamondbacks 2-0. Also in baseball, new Phillies pitcher Michael Lorenzen, who was acquired at the trade deadline, makes quite the impression on Philadelphia. He threw a no-hitter yesterday for the Phillies over the Nationals. That's the 4th no-no in the majors this season. Over in the NFL, ex-Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison after that DUI in November of 2021, where he ended up killing a young woman and her dog. Staples has great prices on everything you need for back to school. Right now, a 24-pack of Crayola crayons and marble comp books, just 50 cents each. Pricing may vary in-store and online. Ends 8/26. Comp books in-store only. School on, save on at Staples.
Yeah! Woo! Happy Thursday to those who celebrate. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch with you on this magnificent Thursday morning. Also, Thursday is a day away from our favorite day, which is Friday. Fridays are brought to you by Keg and Bottle with 10 locations around San Diego. Get your beer, liquor, wine needs served there. And they sponsor Bar Car Friday.
Tomorrow's a big one.
We got a really big deal.
We got a big one.
We got a really big deal coming up with J and the B. That's right. Jack in the Box is going to be in studio with our friends from Keg and Bottle. Tony Kanja, the owner and operator of Keg and Bottle. We're all going to be feasting on some breakfast tacos.
I cannot wait.
And some jalapeno poppers.
Cheat day, cheat day, cheat day.
I'm going to dig in on how they make those egg rolls so good.
Oh my God, the egg rolls.
They're like the best egg rolls on the planet.
That is such a good point. I would say J and the B. Jack in the Box has one of the most diverse and delicious menus I've ever sampled in my life. Every time I pull up there, I'm not kidding. Every time I get something different.
Right.
I mean, sometimes I get, the sourdough Jack. Sometimes I get the loaded mini tacos. I like them spicy.
Do you like them spicy?
Sometimes I get the egg rolls. Sometimes I get their full-size tacos. Sometimes I get the shakes. I like the Oreo thick shake. It's old-fashioned. It's delicious. You know what? Those first couple of sips, you're not getting any shake. You're just
you gotta put some power into it.
I mean, you're the suction it requires, and then as soon as it hits your taste buds, you're just, oh, sweet mystery of life, at last I found thee.
Do you ever go and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna get take the ultimate cheeseburger, and they go, oh yeah, do you want to have curly fries with that? And I go, no, let's make it an egg roll instead.
Dude, I love the customization.
Come on.
Are you a Jack in the Box fan too?
Oh, dude, in college, there was one down the street from my house, and there would be a group of people pretty much every Friday, Saturday night that would get over there and get the $5 munchie box.
$5
munchie box.
It was the most ridiculous deal ever.
Wow.
It is.
And then the next morning, they would just be spewing across the house, the leftovers.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Do you think Jack's gonna be here?
Oh, I
hope
pray.
so.
I've never met him in person, but that giant ping pong ball head.
Yeah, I want to take a picture next to him. Our heads are similar.
Yeah.
shiny.
Yeah.
It's a good point. It is a good point. Everybody says it. I walk around and people go, do you work with the Jack in the Box guy? I'm like, no, that's Ben Fletcher. And they go,
oh yeah, I was gonna say, I thought he was taller.
Yeah, they say Fletch. I go, yeah, that's Fletch. He goes, look like Jay and the B guy. I was like, no, it's a different guy, but very similar. Anyways, the point is,
Jack in the Box also a very special connection to the show, because that day that Travis and I resuscitated the life of the Jeep, which is now dead.
That's right.
But the day we resuscitated the life, where did Rich stop?
Jack in the Box.
Jack in the Box.
Yep.
And brought so much food to my
brought a
house.
lot of tacos.
So many of those mini
A lot of
tacos.
variety of tacos.
I think I didn't want to admit it then, but I will now. I dropped a mini taco in your radiator. The new one.
It all makes so much sense.
I want to apologize for doing that. Jack in the Box, very good for your belly, very bad for radiators, as it turns out.
That is a bummer.
But they'll be in studio tomorrow with Keg and Bottle for a Bar Car Friday, and we are pumped.
Mhm.
Also, we're pumped for our winner of the Must Ask You a Question, which is coming up in about 23 minutes. So the way we're going to do it today is we're going to play Must Ask You a Question as we do every Thursday. But whatever ticket the Mustache You a Question winner doesn't take, we are then going to offer up those 2 pairs on YouTube. So anybody listening to us right now, if you want to win tickets to potentially Dirks Bentley, Darius Rucker, or Godsmack, who are all playing San Diego very shortly, you're going to want to subscribe to our YouTube channel right now. Go to YouTube, type in Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, and subscribe. Any new subscriber today is in the hopper, and we're going to choose 2 winners for the remaining 2 pairs of tickets, depending on whatever our winner coming up here in about 20 minutes is going to choose after winning Must Ask You a Question.
I love all of this.
Yeah.
I love all
It's a
this.
big day.
And you know what? I don't hear Jack in the Box going on any other show, but somehow we win worst show ever.
We are, after all, the worst show of all time ever
in the history of radio.
Of radio or YouTube.
Speaking of which, Jonathan on YouTube, you guys should drink every show. Maybe you would be voted best morning show.
We could try it.
That logic isn't flawed.
Yeah.
Some of our best shows are done when we're drunk. So there
St.
is
Patrick's
that.
Day?
Yeah.
That was 3 hours to Irish.
I do not remember most of that. I know I made corned beef. I can't remember if I ate any.
Yeah, we ate corned beef.
Yeah.
We did.
We ate corned beef. What were the things that we were drinking that you wouldn't drink?
We had Irish soda bread. We made
that's right.
cement mixer, which
That's what
is
it's called.
Bailey's
Yeah.
and Guinness. It used to be called something else. We can't call it anymore.
Yeah, and I didn't think that was that bad. And Ben, you couldn't drink that at all.
I've had experiences with those.
The funniest thing was he tried, which I was very appreciative of.
Sort of.
He dropped it. He took one drink, and then whatever ended up in his mouth just poured back out of his mouth into the cup. I was like, "Is he?" I'm like literally chugging my glass. Like, is he puking? This is gross.
He did have one word to say though. Nope.
That was a good day.
Dude, we did St. Friday's Day in college every year, which is when you wake up at like 4 a.m. on St. Patrick's Day and you drink a bunch of those.
Mm-hmm.
And it never didn't end in puking. So I didn't think this would end any differently.
Yeah.
So I just said no.
I never had that experience in life.
It all goes
College?
down smooth every time.
College is, yes, that is true.
That's included. That's included in the non-experiences.
St. Friday's Day never occurred.
That does sound like a lot of fun. You know, it doesn't
My
sound like
friends
a lot
fell
of
through a
fun.
roof on St. Friday's Day.
Really?
Yeah, I'll show you the video.
Oh yeah. You showed me that video. Yeah. An entire roof in St. Louis Obispo came down because 2 or 3 of your frat brothers were standing on top of
No
it.
frat brothers. I wasn't a frat.
Oh, I thought you were.
But
a frat
no,
guy.
it was like 50 people on the roof. Like 6 of my roommates were on that roof.
Yeah.
Wait, you just said you participated in St. Friday's Day.
I wasn't on the roof.
Wait, but
were you in a frat?
No, that's just what they called it. But it was literally just the entire Greek row would have these massive parties that morning.
At Penn State we called it State Patty's Day. You know, kind of the same thing. You just
Gotcha.
all the bars open up at 7 o'clock in the morning, which is good. You know, I think honestly they should, under normal auspices, open that early
I always
because
thought it was
people
funny.
need to be served.
Like the police would be all over the place on St. Friday's Day,
Mhm.
watching freshmen walk out of the dorms to these parties. And I'm like, you're just watching this horde of people go, all of whom are underage.
But they get it. They live life too. You know, most cops, they're not there to bust up a good time. They're there to keep you safe, you know. So I think
Well,
there's,
one of the girls that fell through the roof got her leg impaled.
you know,
so
not every decision's a safe decision. Like, you know, getting on a roof with 49 of your friends, probably not the best idea.
it was on like national ABC News that morning, the video from the backyard. And my mom was like, "You weren't there, were you?" I said, "Nope.
No chance, Mom.
That is not
me.
Nash who's looking up at the camera."
Beautiful.
So if you're Stanford or you're Cal, the athletic departments, at one point this week, you're probably like, all right, we're okay. We're in good shape.
Find some Rolling Stones in there.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Give me a little can't always get what you want. I mean, you were probably feeling like the Pac-12, they're really letting you down. Everybody's fleeing the coop. You got Arizona and Arizona State, Utah, Washington, Oregon, all this week or last,
Right.
making their escape to different conferences. So you're looking up the ACC and saying, hey, big boy, what do you think? You want to take a ride with a couple of smarty farties over here? We've got huge academic endowments that we want to talk to you about. Have you seen our list of distinguished alumni? It includes many very smart, rich people.
Alumni.
And that's plural for alumnus. There you go. That's the sort of stuff you'll learn if you stick with us.
You want to see the size of this media deal? We got it.
So the ACC said, yeah, but wait. They're not ready to vote. They haven't pledged anything to Cal or Stanford. I think they're kicking the tires on Notre Dame. I think they're trying their hardest to convince Florida State not to leave and Clemson not to leave. Like, they're not ready to welcome in Stanford and Cal because they're not a priority. Stanford and Cal want to be the priority, but the priority is if the Seminoles leave, you don't have a conference. If the Tigers leave, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So they got to figure out, they got to keep their hens in the chicken coop before they can go raid somebody else's cupboard.
And that has the same issue of student athletes traveling 3,000 miles to play a game. Like JD Wicker was on with John and Jim yesterday. I don't know if you guys caught any of that interview, but that was like the main thing I left with. He was like, the mental health, the anxiety that goes along with being a student while playing a sport, especially not if it's football, where so much gets catered to you, you know, like you have tutors that are team assigned, you have different people helping you with things. For other sports, it's like, okay, you're still doing that travel, but you don't necessarily have all the resources. And that is a big deal. And he said a lot of students have talked to him and talked to his office about the fact that, look, if you have to travel that much during the school year, during finals, during all these other things, like at the student part does come first for most of the programs. Again, maybe not football, but there's a lot of people on the Aztecs football team who aren't playing professionally later. They are relying on a college degree to get them somewhere. And I do think that, I know it's like something you could just, oh yeah, football players in school, okay. But I think it's a bigger deal than we think.
Oh, it is. Oh, dude, let me tell you. So first and foremost, we have an insanely competitive job market in this country where if you don't have a college degree, it automatically shuffles you to the bottom of the resume deck when there are potential hirers looking for hirees. You know, so that is the truth. Like most football players even aren't going to extend their career beyond college.
Like
and so
95%.
Yeah, the result is you need to be a good student, and it's very difficult to be a good student even as a football player. You will compound your problems when you're not taking private charters, when you're not getting, like you said, private tutoring, when you're not getting the help that is extended to these for-profit programs that really buoy the rest of the athletic programs at these schools. And for Cal and Stanford, I mean, I think this is probably a last-ditch effort for them. I mean, you may see Cal and Stanford go independent and almost completely eviscerate whatever profits that they're earning in sports, because the truth is they're academic schools anyways. It's not like people are going to stop going to Stanford because their football team is out of the Pac-12 and independent.
And the majority of those schools don't necessarily care about the athletics. That is the athletic department who is putting up this fight.
Yeah.
When the president of, say, Stanford, where President De La Torre at San Diego State understands how important athletics are to that university. Hell, their basketball team was just in the national championship. But when you talk about Stanford, when you talk about Ivy League schools, like we've seen it in the Ivy League, especially, they'll just be like, oh, no, we don't care about that sport. It could just be gone forever.
Do you think the students care if they travel 3,000 miles?
I do. I honestly do. Yeah. I think that it adds an extra level of stress along with the normal stresses of college. I don't know that football cares to the point. I do think that teams that wouldn't get a private charter, like, for example, Aztecs basketball doesn't get a private charter for every game they play.
Volleyball, women's volleyball, track and field, softball, baseball. Like, I mean, there's a lot of teams that aren't going to get the shiny things that the profit sports will. You know, the basketball team's going to be well taken care of. The football team's going to be well taken care of at most universities, at major schools and major conferences, because they make the school money.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it makes sense to private charter these teams, because the better those teams are, the more money that floods into the program, whether it be via endorsement opportunities for the school or wealthy alumni donating back to the athletic program. I mean, that's a big reason why there's a brand new stadium in San Diego, because you have people who went to San Diego State or believe in the public institution who wanted to donate charitably to getting this vision built. So
that's also why football players will get the private tutor that not necessarily a baseball player will get. It's because they need to keep those players eligible also to play.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But moving on to a bigger, better conference would essentially, well, I would think would pull you in more money. I mean, you're getting more exposure, you're getting more TV time. So at that point you go, well, it's better for the school, it's better for the basketball team, it's better for the football team. I know that it's hurting the volleyball team, or it's hurting the shuffleboard team, whatever team it is. But then you start to make a regional, a tour for them.
It's a trickle down effect, right? I do think that all programs benefit from having a better and stronger and wealthier athletic department. But there are going to be some that fall through the cracks, maybe certain sports teams that are disbanded in this reshuffling of the conferences and realignments that may send certain teams on cross-country hauls and things like that. But I do think that where we're heading is potentially a better system than what was in place previously, because there are certain teams who, even with their conference affiliations, they have to travel thousands upon thousands of miles, for any of their teams to play. Like, think about Hawaii. They're a part of the Mountain West.
Without a doubt.
I mean, they have to travel thousands and thousands of miles a year. They figure it out. So all schools can logistically figure it out. There's benefits and there's detractions from doing these deals. But I think what will shake out is potentially a better system. I hope. That's what I'm hopeful for.
I'm just saying, once a team gets on a plane, I mean, if I'm on a 3-hour flight or a 4-hour flight, I don't know if it's really shaking me up that much.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I do. I think the gripe, gripe is relatively small,
but it's also adding up over a full season. It's like
I get it. And JD Wicker, I mean, hats off. And I understand it as well. He wants the best he can do for his school, for the teams, for the students, for everything. So, and this is a guy that knows the ins and outs and what it takes to make it all work properly. And I'm just sitting here on the outside going, I don't know. I mean, I'm already on the plane. Doesn't matter.
But it's the difference.
I'm also a guy who didn't play sports.
It would be the difference, and this is just using San Diego State as an example. It's the difference between like either a bus ride or an hour flight to Fresno or an 4-hour flight across the country.
We also, on this show here this morning, we asked our listeners to name a tumor. Now that sounds dark. And we're going to have to do a little bit of backpedaling to explain this. But one of our loyal listeners, Bob Armstrong, his mom listens to the show and they laugh along with us every single morning. And laughter is a great cure. And she's struggling with an operable tumor that's non-cancerous. And she's receiving some radiation therapy here. And he asked for our help. And it's a very specific task. He said, hey, can you help us come up with a name for my mom's tumor? And we said, yep, we sure can. Now, I spit out the name Krang, which is the villain from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that looks like a brain, and it's seated inside of the giant robot. Some of our texters have weighed in.
I did get a positive response on Krang from Bob, by the way. He liked that.
Okay, yeah.
It's pretty good.
So the text line's wide open all day if you want to name a tumor. 70470, start your message with team. We've got some early entries here. How about Granny Gertrude? Okay, that's an interesting one.
Wasn't that the one who's supposed to give me a Buick?
How about the sense of tumor?
That's not bad.
Oh, that's pretty good.
But do you pronounce it tumor?
Oh, maybe.
Like humor?
Tumor. How about tumor named Brain Bongo? Will consume mass amounts of alcohol to ensure that our listeners recovers and live cancer-free for the rest of her life. Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
That's good.
Do you want to know what the first
one? Promise we can make.
Bongo.
The first name that popped into my head was, and I feel bad about it. I don't know that it's actually funny, but
Will Eric Hosmer be an all-star this
You're going to
season?
name the tumor Eric Hosmer?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Why? Because you want to remove it?
My God.
I told you, I don't know if it's funny. It's kind of mean.
Jesus.
It's really dark.
You want a tumor named after an overpaid first baseman
Yes.
who we had to trade away
Like,
and pay
ruined
for?
a team.
Golly.
Oh,
Well, tumors are a bad thing,
Oh,
right?
so-
Eric Hosmer is a bad thing.
wow.
619 just texted in Spanos. Just name the tumor Spanos. Jesus. All right. This is going in a direction I didn't expect it to go.
Wait, the 760 said this is easy, man. A tumor? Call it Jim Russell.
Oh, that's way better.
Oh, yeah. No, I get it. An out of control growth that is annoying and you want to cut out.
And
Got
that
it. Jim
latch-
Russell.
and
Yeah.
latches on to the successful thing, John Schaefer.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
gosh. Yeah. So they're flying in right now. If you want to name a tumor, you're listening to the correct morning show. We're going to be doing this all morning long. 70470. Start your message with team.
I do think it's important to know it's a non-cancerous tumor.
Yes.
And Bob reached out to us and asked us to
Yeah.
name this tumor.
Yes.
Right.
yes.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, please. Yes. We have a lot of class. Yeah. Thank you for that explanation
Yeah.
because otherwise our listeners would assume we are classless pigs.
We don't want that.
no.
We don't want to portray that.
Coming up next, we need a caller on the line, 844-570-1360. We got a little game show we call Mustachio Question. You're going to be able to pick, if you win, between Dirks Bentley tickets, Godsmack, or Darius Rucker's tickets. That's on the other side.
We must ask you a question, one of the features on the show, coming up next. This update is presented by the Jim Patrol Real Estate Team. Starting off here with the Padres. They lose again last night. Their fourth straight loss. Mariners complete the sweep. Final score 6-1. Padres get just 4 hits in the game. Day off today before they start a 3-game series in Arizona against the Diamondbacks, who have lost 8 straight. NL West yesterday, Brewers, they beat the Rockies 7-6. Giants fall to the Angels 4-1. Dodgers beat the Diamondbacks 2-0. Also in baseball, newly acquired Phillies pitcher Michael Lorenzen, who they got at the trade deadline, he goes out and throws a no-hitter yesterday, making quite the impression on Philadelphia. That's the 4th no-no in the major leagues this season. In the NFL, ex-Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs, who was involved there driving in that DUI in 2021 that resulted in the death of a young woman, he is sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Buttrell has the buyers. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
It's Big Rich and Fletch, San Diego Sports 760, and we got a whole bunch of giveaways here. We have 3 pairs of tickets that we're giving away. Dirk Bentley, Godsmack, and Darius Rucker. You want tickets and info, go to Ticketmaster.com, or we do this every Thursday. Or we don't. Do we have an open?
Yeah, we do. Sorry, I was laughing at Rich.
Are you high?
It was like
Oxycontin?
I was up to that Tuesday show. I don't remember a single thing we did. I was so stoned after oral surgery. No, what happens is when I come back in here from break, sometimes the camera's disconnected.
Oh.
So I have to restart it. And then it always starts on the FaceTime camera on your computer.
Yeah.
And so I'm staring down, and then all of a sudden I see the light go on over here, and I look up, and I guess the face I make is silly.
No, it's stupid funny.
Hairy upper lip or nah? It's up to you to determine. If you want the prize, you have to play the game. It's time. We must ask you a question.
It's the game show that is sweeping the world. I hear we're absolutely enormous in Calgary, Canada.
Whoa, in my mind, I thought you were going to say the Okapokes, Canada.
In the Okapokes, Canada.
Wow. I thought you were going to say New Mexico.
In Albuquerque, New Mexico. We actually are huge in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We have some listeners, Bob Armstrong and Mama. Mama, we're pulling for you. She's got a brain tumor that she's getting radiation on.
Not a tumor. That
she's asked us to name. And so we're doing that for you because we love you, Mama. So anybody else who's out there who has a name for a brain tumor, go ahead and send it our way.
A benign brain tumor.
A benign brain tumor.
Which I don't know. I mean, look, but the point is it's there.
Oh, it's there.
Yeah. Oh, it's there.
They're going to treat it with radiation.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe we call it
Oppenheimer.
Jesus.
This is why Bob asked us to name it. This is why I did it. Can we call it Fat Boy or Little Man?
Little Man.
The Destroyer of Worlds.
Okay. All right. Well, we're sick bastards. Casey joining us on the line to play Mustachio Question. Casey, our apologies for the distastefulness this morning.
Whoa. Casey Jones?
Oh, yeah. Is this Casey Jones?
No, man.
Okay.
Regular Casey in the building.
Can I ask you another
Casey
question?
Yeah.
Is it Casey Kasem back from the dead?
The amazing Casey at bat.
No, Casey at bat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Big Casey.
Casey, do you have a name for the tumor?
Oh man, I'm thinking Thanos. Thanos was a good one.
Oh, wow.
Thanos. Yeah, that is a good name for a tumor.
Spanos? Like the
Spanos.
Chargers owner, or Thanos, like the dude that wiped out half the planet?
Oh, yeah. Good
The
question.
dude that wiped out half the place.
Yeah, Thanos. Yeah. That does seem like a good tumor name.
But guess what? Both of them work. Both of them
In fact,
work.
I think I like Thanos better as a
Um,
person.
Casey, man,
That's true.
are you
That's
ready?
true.
Are you ready to play? Are you ready to play? Because this is the dumbest game show, the easiest game show you'll ever play. You simply have to answer this question. Does the person you're going to hear in these audio clips have a mustache or not? If you get 3 out of 5 correct, you're going to get to choose between 3 pairs of tickets, Darius Rucker Godsmack or Dierks Bentley. Does that sound like something you're interested in?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. What's that? Well, so he has to choose which one he wants right now, right? Or chooses what
should
we're
we do
playing
that?
for.
Yeah, we should do it first.
All right. So
yeah.
what do you want to play for, Casey?
Let's
Dierks,
go.
Godsmack, Darius Rucker.
go for Darius Rucker.
Okay. Darius
choice.
Rucker, Gallagher Square, August 25th. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Or Casey, you got to tell us whether or not these clips have, or a person from a mustache. I don't know what I'm saying. You know the rules. Let's go with clip number 1.
Dad, we're men, okay? That means a few things. We like to with the door open. We go on riverboat gambling trips. We make our own beef jerky. That's what we do. And now that is all wrecked.
So,
Definitely a mustache.
ooh, that is incorrect. That is
Dale Doback.
Dale Doback
Yeah.
in Step Brothers.
Yeah.
And he was explaining to his father what manhood's all about. Okay, so you're in an 0-1 hole right now.
Not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
Not a big deal. Casey's got this.
We've seen a lot of people recover from a situation like this, Casey. So we move on to clip number 2. Now, if you missed this one, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. So be careful.
Trying very hard not to completely lose my on all 3 of you right now, but you're not making it easy.
Was that our boss?
That might have been Brian, former program director at San Diego Sports 760, Brian Long. He doesn't have a mustache, but it wasn't Brian Long. We ask you now, Casey, does that person you just listened to have a mustache or not?
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh,
That was Kevin
man.
Costner.
Oh, for
I believe that was from, was it The Draft?
I believe it was the draft. Yeah.
And he was mustacheless.
He had a clean upper lip.
Yeah. In fact, it's the only time I think he's had a mustache is like Dancing with Wolves.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah.
I don't know of any other mustache time for Kevin Costner.
Oh, the bang energy is repeating on me.
The Rainbow Unicorn?
Rainbow Unicorn. Yeah. I think the horn got stuck on its way down.
Interesting. Casey, you're 0 for 2 right now.
Yeah,
All right. You got to now go clutch.
It's time
You
for
gotta-
Casey at the bat to step up to the plate.
No more Juan Soto. You gotta be Casey. Yeah.
Doesn't Mighty Casey strike out? Isn't that the end of that poem?
No, not today.
Okay,
Not
all right.
today.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Not today. But he does have 2 strikes right now.
Yeah, we're working
So
on
it's
number
a little
3.
dicey. A little dicey, Casey. Here is clip number 3 for you.
Top 6 answers on the board, fellas.
You got this.
Well, here we go, fellas. We ask 100 married men between us, name something an ex-girlfriend was better at than your wife. You happy?
Oh, he missed the best part.
Wait a second.
You so damn stupid. Sex.
Wait a second. We missed a very important word in all that.
Definitely has a mustache. Bernie Mac.
Oh, it wasn't Bernie Mac, but he does have a mustache. It's Steve Harvey. But you're on the board, Casey.
Let's go.
Racist. No, we're just kidding.
Oh, that's the guy with the suits. The suit guy.
So Bernie Mac's
Yeah,
been dead for like a decade.
And you got 70-something suits. Oh,
Yeah, that's the guy. You got it, Casey.
No, you know what? You're fun. You're fun. You're good people,
You're
Casey.
dialing it in. You're dialing it in.
He's 1 and 2 right now.
It's good.
Casey, I can't tell you that I'm pulling for you, but I'm just not confident in you right now. I need you to pull it together. I need you to dig deep. I need you to be the anti-Juan Soto. I need you not to give up. Okay? I need you not to give up.
Or else we're gonna name the tumor after you.
No.
Let's do it.
Gosh, oh my God. You do not want this,
Oh,
Casey.
come on.
It's a non-cancerous brain tumor, and it may bear your name.
I
There's
thought you
so
were
much
barefoot
right.
right now.
I'm wearing my sandals because I'm going to change it to golf shoes after the show.
I honestly, I looked down. I thought you were barefoot. I didn't know what was happening. I
and I
was
also
nervous.
have monkey toes. I pick so much things up with my toes
I do
because
that too.
I don't like to bend over.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Okay,
Casey,
sorry, Casey. Sorry.
you're in a 1-2 hole
Yeah.
right now. 2 hole. You're in a 1-2 hole right now. You need desperately to get this next clip right. Does this person have a mustache or not?
Oh, I gotta wake my up at 6 a.m. every day this week. Drag up to Las Galindas. Yeah, I'm doing the drywall up there at the new McDonald's. Well, you don't need $1 million to do nothing, man. Take a look at my cousin. He's broke, don't do Hey, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, come on.
It may be a guess because that's a little bit of an obscure clip.
It was.
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know that one. I'm going to say yes.
You did. You did. Yeah, Lawrence from Office Space.
Lawrence, one of my favorite bit characters I've ever seen in a movie. He plays the next door neighbor to the protagonist, and he gives nothing but good advice.
It's like almost Boomhauer, except a little more
What
legible.
movie is that?
Yeah. That's Office Space.
Oh, you would
Office
love it.
Space. Yeah,
You would
you
love
got to watch Office Space. That's a good one
It's
right there.
Peter's neighbor, Lawrence. Anyways, look, you're in a 2-2 ball game right now.
I'm feeling better right now.
Yeah. I mean, this is a comeback
I'm nervous.
that the Padres couldn't muster in the top of the 9th yesterday. We need you, Casey.
Or the day before.
We need you to get
Or
this
before
right.
that.
There is
Or the day
a
before
woman
that.
depending on you in New
4
Mexico
losses in a row.
right now, Casey. Fighting for everything.
Come on.
One more chance, Casey. Does this person have a mustache?
Brian, can I see that paper for a sec? Huh. That's odd. I thought that would be big news. Well, there seems to be an absence of a certain ornithological piece. A headline regarding mass awareness of a certain avian variety. Oh, have you not heard? It was my understanding that everyone had heard. Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. A bird, a word, a well, a bird, bird, bird. A bird, a word, a well, a bird, bird, bird. A bird, a word, a well, a bird, bird, bird. A bird, a word, a Brian, don't you know about the bird? Well, Peter's gonna tell you about the bird. A well, a bird, bird, bird. A bird, a word, a well, a bird.
Bird. Mow, mow.
Okay.
Casey.
Oh, man.
Casey, you got this one. You know this voice.
Definitely not.
Oh, man, Casey.
It's a big deal. It's not a little deal. It's a big deal.
Casey's not a tumor!
Do you believe in miracles?
Yes. He got 2
Oh, you guys are the
goes 3
best.
in a row, Casey. You just won yourself a pair of tickets to go see Darius Rucker at Gallagher Square on August 25th.
I'm crying. You are.
You're crying. You're crying. Oh, tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. But Casey, congratulations. You pulled it out. Must ask you a question. I'm exhausted.
I am fully aroused. Wow.
How you feeling, Casey?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great, gentlemen. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, God. We
No,
love
thank-
you. We love you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We needed that in a big way.
Hang on hold. Ben's going to get your info.
That was a
Oh,
big deal.
mustache. Oh, mustache.
Now it's on the web mustache.
Oh, mustache. Oh, mustache. If you only got a mustache. Woo!
Golly.
I was so nervous.
I mean,
I was so sweaty.
he came to the edge of despair, and instead of falling into the volcano, he spread his wings and he used the Bernoulli principles to lift him into the upper stratosphere amid the champions, amongst the clouds. He flies majestic and looks down upon all of thee. Casey, you are our winner today.
Mighty Casey. Wow.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Benign tumor, not on my watch.
This now opens up the door to our YouTube subscribers.
That's right.
So we still have Dirks Bentley tickets and Godsmack tickets to give away. All you have to do is subscribe to us on YouTube. So go to YouTube, type in Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, and for the rest of the show, for the entire show, anybody who has subscribed to our YouTube channel is in contention to win those 2 pairs of tickets.
In the hopper. Name in the hopper. Yeah, it's easy.
In the hopper.
Big Rich TD Fletch. That's where you find us on YouTube.
Okay, coming up next, there are a couple of new quarterbacks in new places, but do their offensive lines have what it takes to protect them? We're getting to nervous time in the NFL. That's next. Coming up next, you need a QB, but you also need to protect that QB. A couple NFL teams who are going to struggle doing that on the other side. We do a lot of things with this show. One of the things we're proudest of is the connection we have with our listeners. And we mean this. Like the thing doesn't happen without everybody who's listening to the show. And we appreciate it to no end, especially when you interact with us, which we're easy to reach. So find us, Big Rich TD Fletch, on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, and on YouTube. So we've been live streaming the show on YouTube for a long time now. If you're new to the show,
Today is the 54th live stream we've done.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Okay. So we've been doing it for probably close to 2 months now, and we're growing in subscribers, but we want more of you to watch as well. So if you're listening today, also subscribe, because whenever you're away from your radio, if that's the way you listen to the show, you can definitely watch us. And for new subscribers today, you're going to be able to win Dirks Bentley tickets or Godsmack tickets. It's very easy. Just subscribe to us, and we're going to put your name in a hopper. We're going to choose one of you to give the pair of tickets to. So if you want to go see either of those two shows in San Diego today, subscribe at YouTube. The NFL, the preseason's really important to get certain position groups to gel. You want your...
Sorry, what were those 3 letters you just said?
The NFL? Yeah, it's here. That feels right. That feels good.
Are we going to get a live band in here
to do
the
that?
horns? Yeah.
Oh, I would love that.
That would be fantastic.
On like week 1.
Thursday the 7th.
Thursday the 7th.
When the season kicks off between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Detroit Lions, if we don't have a brass section in here playing this song, then we've done something wrong. That one's on you, Travis. That one's on you.
Okay, I'm going to make it happen. Figure it out. The gauntlet has been thrown, and I will gladly pick it up.
So you want position groups to gel, right? You want your quarterbacks to get along with your wide receivers. You want your tight ends to be in perfect harmony with the running backs in their route running. You want all these groups. You need the offensive line, though. But you need the 5 fingers to create the fist.
Do you like watching NFL preseason games?
Oh, I don't love it. I like it. I don't love it at all.
So tonight there's games.
Yeah, there's games.
Tomorrow there's games. Saturday there's games. Sunday there's games. I do enjoy watching none of it.
None of it.
NFL preseason really sucks. And it reminds me every year because I always get excited for it. Then I watch the Hall of Fame game and I'm like, oh, this is bad football.
Yeah. But I mean, so this is officially week 1 of preseason. There will be a few starters out there, at least on a handful of teams. You'll get to see a little bit. But I mean, I don't know. I guess it's kind of like you're watching a bad Food Network show. You still watch it, and you're not getting full. But you're not quite to the meal yet. But it's on. It's on.
One of the most important parts of the preseason, though, is really honestly, I can speak to this because I'm a former offensive lineman, is getting your offensive linemen all on the same page and getting the communication down. Because sometimes there's new pieces. You bring in a right tackle, or you flip-flop a left tackle to right because you brought in a left tackle. All these things happen. Those sort of things are happening with teams that absolutely cannot afford not to protect their quarterback well. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. The New York Jets, who have a bottom of the league offensive line. You have Dwayne Brown, who's nearing 40, whose play is diminishing as the years go by, protecting the blind side of Aaron Rodgers. They moved Mekhi Becton to right tackle, who, by the way, is seeing a therapist because he's having anxiety over the positional change. That is a true story. Wow. So Aaron Rodgers, let's talk about it. Is that a guy you think is going to have success if his offensive line can't keep the rush away from him?
I guess he was pissed off yesterday, and the Jets know about it. Like, he made it very clear that he was angry, and it was all due to sloppy drills. And if you're sloppy on the offensive line, Rich, you know better than anyone, your quarterback gets hurt.
What did you just say?
I'm not calling you a sloppy offensive line player. No, I'm saying you know better than anyone because you played the position. If the offensive line is sloppy, quarterbacks get hurt.
Let me tell you where my head goes. When you say the word sloppy, I immediately thought you were going to say Joe's.
Yeah.
I honestly thought that's where you were headed.
I can't tell you how much I love a sloppy Joe.
But there's multiple examples of it going around the league right now. The one that went viral yesterday was the Miami Dolphins.
I like sloppy Joes with cheese.
Oh, I love it with cheese.
I like when you put the cheese on the sloppy Joe and then you have to walk away from the sloppy Joe for a little while, and then the cheese melts into the sloppy Joe.
Yeah,
and it creates those bites where you're like pulling the cheese with the.
I like to toast the bun. And then right as it gets out of the toaster, I lay one piece of cheese right on that bottom bun, so it starts to get a little melty.
Did you guys see that video yesterday of the Miami Dolphins?
What
The Miami Dolphins, the offensive line trying to protect Tua.
Oh, I thought you were
What are we talking about right now?
be like, they were eating sloppy Joes.
No, so basically the linebackers both had free shots at Tua. Which,
do you like crock pot?
If you're the Dolphins,
sloppy Joe?
Tua gets hurt a bunch last year, hardly plays.
Sloppy Joes.
But the middle linebackers both had free shots. They don't get him because he's their quarterback, so they don't touch the quarterback.
I don't know if there's another way to make
But
sloppy
in a
Joes.
game,
Then from the crock
Tua
pot?
would have been murdered.
Do you do it in a pot then?
I do just in a pan. You just brown meat and then pour that sloppy Joe mix
I
in
guess
it.
you could do that.
And then what's great with that though, when it's in the pan as it's cooking up, you can just take a spoonful of it.
So, moral of the story is Tua's only going to play 3 games this season.
Tua's really going to struggle because, again, if we're looking at offensive line rankings, the Miami Dolphins, like the Jets, are in the bottom 10 of the league. The New Orleans Saints is another team. Terrible offensive line. Derek Carr's your quarterback. We're not talking about mobile guys. Like Aaron Rodgers, he's an athlete, but at 40, you need to protect him.
And Tua, coming off the year he can't afford to run, even though he can. And Derek Carr needs time in the pocket because he's a better deep thrower than he is short thrower.
Otherwise, these guys are going to need to beef up. And I know the perfect sandwich.
Sloppy Joe?
I hate you, bro,
Tell you what,
so much.
You know what? If they can't make a sloppy Joe, it should run through Jack in the Box.
Gosh, you're damn right they should.
I
Jack
do like
in the
Jack
Box
in the
is going to be in studio tomorrow for Bar Car Friday.
This is so exciting. I bet Tony is so jacked right now.
Oh, I bet you he is. All right, coming up on the other side, Amy Trask, the Princess of Darkness, former Raiders CEO, current CBS Sports analyst covering the NFL, joins us, as well as Dan Zimborski, Fangraphs.
Oh, we have to talk about the Padres?
On the Padres. That's next.
It's hour 3 on Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. This update presented by the Jim Betrell Real Estate Team. Padres lose yesterday. That's their 4th straight loss. They get only 4 hits in the game. Final score 6-1 to the Mariners. Day off today before they start a 3-game series in Arizona against the Diamondbacks, who have lost 8 straight. Actually been worse than the Padres lately. NL West yesterday, Brewers beat the Dodgers 7-6. Giants lose to the Angels 4-1. Dodgers beat the Diamondbacks 2-0. Also in baseball, new Phillies pitcher. This must be nice. He was acquired at the trade deadline. Michael Lorenzen. He threw a no-hitter yesterday for the Phillies over the Nationals. This is the 4th no-hitter in baseball this season. In the NFL, ex-Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison after that DUI in November 2021 that resulted in the death of a young woman. Henry Ruggs, again, facing 3 to 10 years in prison, parole available after year 3. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You get no phone call, just a text. Jim Betrell has the buyers. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
Woo! Happy Thursday to those who celebrate. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch with you the day before a Bar Car Friday. It's Bar Car Friday Eve here on Big Rich, TD, and Fletch.
Are we drinking wine tomorrow?
Ooh, good question. I don't know what we're drinking tomorrow.
I forgot what the text.
No,
string.
that was for a few weeks from now.
Oh, got it.
We'll be drinking a very special rosé with a celebrity person.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
That's coming up. That's coming up soon.
Like big celebrity.
Big celebrity.
Yeah. Is that celebrity coming in?
I think the celebrity is going to be over the phone.
Okay. All right.
But the
Or
son
FaceTime.
of the celebrity will be in studio.
That makes me happy. I actually spoke to that celebrity when I was probably.
Oh my God, it's Shania Twain.
Oh no. I wish. When I was probably 10, on the phone, I called in to a radio station.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I met him in person.
No, you did.
Yeah. I'll tell you
Rich
this.
is cooler.
Yeah,
Well,
way
no,
cooler.
I'm
Definitely because I was just told no and then hung up on. I'll explain when we get to that day.
I will. I'll tell you my meeting also that day because I'll give it away.
Yeah.
We'll for sure give it away.
This brings me a lot of joy.
Me too. I'm very excited to play some of the music all day long that day.
Oh,
We are going to be tearing it up.
we're gonna have to get a talk box.
Yeah, you're damn right. We will. You're damn right. So we started the show today. And by the way, Keg and Bottle, who sponsored Bar Car Friday and who has been so kind, Tony Kanja and his crew over there, to provide us with different brands every single week. It'll be a mystery who comes in tomorrow. But one thing we know is whatever liquor, beer, wine brand that is going to be in studio with us tomorrow on a Keg and Bottle Bar Car Friday, Jack in the Box is also going to be here.
That is correct.
Jay and the Bee is providing breakfast tacos, jalapeno poppers. Okay, those jalapeno poppers, for anybody who is uninitiated, are some of the most delicious fried treats you can ever enjoy. They are molten cheese inside of a spicy pepper, inside of a delicious battered fried ball.
Sheena and Joe going to be inside here or in the studio here with from Jack in the Box. God, I can't wait.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great.
Gonna be
Not to be a
day for
damper.
us. What's up?
Wow,
Just we're gonna be talking to Dan Zaborski about the Padres. That's a damper. B, the three of us have done a really good job recently of being healthy, being fit, right? And we all lost weight. We lost 27 pounds as a show. Are we about to cheat back-to-back days?
What's today? Oh, right, because we're gonna golf after the show.
Yes,
are we committing to being healthy at golf?
Okay,
Because I don't think I can do that.
Listen, we said it. We've always said it. When it comes to work, our diets take a back seat.
That's right.
And when we take a listener out golfing, and again, if you ever want to golf with us, if you've ever thought, hey, those are guys that sound like I would like to golf with them, very much so. Go to sportssd.com, the prizes and contests tab, click on it, and go to golf with Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. If you just subscribe there, you're going to be in the hopper, in the running to golf with us next month, sponsored by Long Ball. Hard iced tea. It's a delicious libation in a can. We're going to drink plenty of them today because why? We're working. That's
Exactly
why.
right. Exactly. Have you guys been doing good, doing well?
On
Doing
the paleo?
On the paleo, yeah.
Okay, so
I ate something called cauliflower rice last night, along with Brussels sprouts and ground turkey. That was dinner.
My favorite thing to
Wow.
eat so far that I've made is pork chops and peaches.
Ooh,
That's not bad.
So this is what you do, guys. You get a peach that's almost ripe, still hard, so it holds up in the pan. You get a cast iron pan, you make it ripping hot, and you put the peaches all around like sliced peaches.
Okay.
And you get a little like sear on the peach.
Oh,
And then it expresses
caramelization.
all of its juices, and then you do the pork chops in the same pan,
Come on.
and it all sorts, marinates the pork chop and flavors it.
Great.
And then you put the soft, like seared peaches on top of the pork chops afterwards. It was delicious.
Wow, that sounds incredible. Absolutely incredible.
So
I mean, the last night I had white rice and ground turkey.
Not supposed to eat white rice.
Why?
It's a grain.
No grains. That's right.
Wait, why? Oh, this caveman.
It's
Yeah,
a
but-
grain, though.
But
They
cavemen
can't have a grain?
I don't think so.
I also don't understand the logic, but you're not supposed to eat grains on paleo.
God.
It's because it's like a hunter-gatherer diet.
You should try cauliflower rice. It's really not bad.
Yeah.
I didn't have cauliflower.
You could buy it at Trader Joe's. It comes frozen. It's pretty tasty.
Oh, and we forgot,
well.
you have to kill all the animals you eat. So if you can't successfully hunt, then you have to take one of your dogs down.
Day before yesterday, I did eat a slice of Kraft like American cheese.
Which is definitely paleo.
I
know if
I
there's
took it right out of the wrapper.
I think one of the things that cavemen had was
pasteurized processed cheese slices.
in individual packaging.
Yep. I'm looking in the pantry. I'm looking in the fridge. I'm like, I don't know. You know what? I don't even care. And it was a pepper jack one that I had left over from the grilled cheese sandwich day.
Oh, I love their pepper jack.
So good.
For anybody who wants to hear us talk about the Padres, we're going to leave that up to Dan Zimborski later. He works with Fangraphs. He has all the analytics and stats to either disappoint you or maybe give you some hope as the Padres enter the last stretch of their season, about 47 games left. But right now, we want to turn our attention to the NFL. That's right. The preseason officially gets underway. Thursday night football preseason edition kicks off tonight. And no better person to kick off our football season than Amy Trask. That's right. CBS analyst, covers the NFL, does an amazing job. Princess of Darkness, former Raiders CEO. We love having you on, Amy. Hi. How are you doing?
You know, I love everything about this. You said hi on Twitter. You just said hi again. You used my nickname, Princess of Darkness, which I happen to think is the best ever nickname in the whole world. I just love everything about this. I love joining you so much that I just came home from the beach to join you. How about that?
Wow.
Okay, yeah. Go back to the beach, actually. Hang up the phone right now. You're not going to enjoy this more than the beach. We're sorry for disturbing you.
Nope, I'm here. I love joining you, man. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for jumping on with us. It's an important week in the NFL. Everybody's, chomping at the bit to see this season get underway. And I think so much so that Hard Knocks had a bit of a revival with the New York Jets, the interest in Aaron Rodgers, the debut of their new season. I thought was a success. I thought that the show sort of captured well what it's like when all of a sudden you're a franchise and you're blessed with the presence of somebody who gives you a chance to legitimately win a Super Bowl. Because and let me defend it just in one way. Okay, I know that's going pretty far, but let me just
bold.
They're still the Jets.
The only way, though, in this league, the only way, or I should say the most surefire way to win a Super Bowl is by having a great quarterback. You know, you go through the Super Bowl winners over the past 2 decades, even 3 decades. It's a passing league now. If you don't have a great quarterback, you don't really have a chance. So I'll ask you, because I'm pretty high on the Jets. How high are you on the New York Football Jets right now?
Well, I certainly give them a much greater chance to perform this year than they did last year because of the addition of Aaron. So you and I agree on that. They need to address pass protection. They need to address the offensive line. I'm a running game girl for the following reason. The better your running game, the better your passing game. Because as we all know, if a defense has to defend against a very, very, very good running game, that's less men to focus on rushing the passer. And you guys know it's math. It's 11 on 11. So if you've got a solid, strong running game and your defense has to stop that, that's less money, less men to blitz. That's less men to cover receivers. So I'm a running game girl, not to the exclusion of the passing game, of course. And you are right. It is a passing league. I simply value the running game, and it makes the passing game better.
Amy, we'll get into the running game a little bit because kind of undervalued at the moment, so it seems. But when we're talking about fantastic quarterbacks, great quarterbacks needed to win a Super Bowl, let's talk about a team in the NFC who there's big talks that they could get there again, possibly win. Can Brock Purdy win a Super Bowl?
Look, I'm not looking to punt, every pun intended. I don't know the answer to that. He certainly was exciting last year prior to the injury. I feel pretty good that had he not been injured, that game had every opportunity to go San Francisco's way. San Francisco for the last few years has been one really good quarterback away from being a phenomenal team. So to your point that you need a good quarterback, can Brock be that guy? Maybe he can. And by the way, if I recall correctly, he was Mr. Irrelevant. Wasn't he the final man taken in his draft?
Yep,
he was.
Well, there you go. So all the draft experts and the draft scientists and everybody, sometimes you take a guy last in the draft and he may be your guy. And I'm really excited to see what he can do this year.
I can't wait. I'm a 49ers fan, which I know is pain to your ears, Amy, as the Princess of Darkness with the Raiders. But we did want to get kind of your business take on what's been happening in the NFL this offseason, because the running back position has been devalued. It's down. The franchise tag is down a couple $1 million from where it was just 2 years ago. And running backs around the league are not happy about it. So you, from back to your front office mind, what's your take on what's happening with running backs this offseason?
Well, I think it's two things. One, as you just noted, many have devalued the position. They don't focus on the running game. In part, and I'll segue into another point, a supply and demand issue. There are a lot of good running backs, both in the league, with teams, free agents, unsigned, tradable, coming out of college. I mean, there's a lot of good backs. So when supply exceeds demand, there's the economic result from that. We also know that running backs get hit and beaten up a lot. The only way this is going to get resolved in terms of running backs is if the NFLPA prioritizes doing something about this. And people immediately say when I throw that out, but Amy, there's a CBA in place for a really long time. The NFLPA can't do anything about that right now. There's going to be a moment in time where the league is going to want something, going to ask the NFLPA for something. And that's the opportunity when the NFLPA can come back and say, can we address the running back issue? Can we maybe talk about treating them differently from a franchise tag perspective or years to free agency perspective? Can we carve them out as a different class of player? But you're absolutely right. Supply and demand, value placed on it by teams. I certainly place a greater value on the running game than do a lot of people.
Amy Trask joining us this morning, CBS Sports analyst covering the NFL. Quarterbacks, when you're making a selection, talent obviously is the most important thing to evaluate in the draft, but also organizational fit is important to discuss as well. So now that we have these top three quarterbacks all taken within the first four picks of the NFL draft, you got Bryce Young in Carolina, CJ Stroud in Houston, and of course, Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis. Which of these quarterbacks, in your opinion, is going to have the most successful rookie season based on both their talent and their organizational fit?
Well, there's a few other factors I would throw in there. And see, this is what happens, men, when you have on the show the girl who went to law school, because then, I want to say, objection, Your Honor, calls for a hypothetical. Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation. But all teasing aside, because that's what we like to do. We like to speculate. I think it depends on a lot of things, obviously. We all know every team is one injury away from just a catastrophic season. So which of these teams is going to have a healthy offensive line and healthy pass blocking throughout the season? Which of these teams is going to have a solid running game? And I think coaching is incredibly important. A lot of times quarterbacks succeed or fail, and the focus is on the quarterback. And to some extent, that's fair. But is the coach that's in place a good head coach? Is there a good coordinator in place? Is the scheme designed to maximize the quarterback's skill? Look, Justin Herbert, I think the world of him as a quarterback. And he is now in a location where they are letting him shine. When he was in college, they never, ever designed their offense around Justin Herbert's skills. Only in 2 bowl games were we able to see his potential. So now flip forward to the NFL. Do you have coordinators in place that are designing around your quarterback skills? That's my lengthy way of saying, objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation. I don't know the answer to your question. How about that?
We do. None of us do. That's the reason why I'm asking somebody who's infinitely smarter than me these hard questions to answer, and you very judiciously avoided answering. I think I might have just outdone myself in the sense that these guys are going to get off the radio with me and say, holy moly. I was going to say something worse than moly, but we're on the radio, so I didn't.
It's fine.
Holy
we
moly. We're not having her back on. We don't need a legal argument on this show. But the answer is, I really don't know the answer. And I don't think anyone knows the answer. And all we're doing at this point is guessing.
Amy, how do you feel about John Gruden heading back down to the Saints for a little free visit?
I hope I get an opportunity to speak on that this season on our pregame show on CBS Sports Network. I take issue with it for the following reason. And let me note that this has nothing to do with the fact that I worked with John or I worked with Dennis Allen. I would say this with respect to any coach. When an organization brings someone in who shared views, such as he shared in those emails, racist comments, misogynistic comments, homophobic comments, really hateful comments. When an organization brings someone in who shared those views, that sends a message. At a minimum, the message is that those views were not such that the organization was loath to bring him in. And I understand they didn't add him as full-time staff, but they brought him in as a consultant, as an advisor, and that sends a message throughout the organization. It sends a message in the locker room. It sends a message in every single department of the organization. It sends a message to fans. It sends a message to sponsors. And even if the message is as simple as, we're not bothered by the hateful views he shared, that's a loud message. So, I just don't understand why they did it. Well, maybe I do understand, but I don't like that they did it.
Yeah, it's all about priorities. Yeah. And you're 100% right. It's prioritizing success on the field over potentially success off the field. And
how's that? And how will that resonate in the locker room?
Right. And I'm sure it wasn't a democratic process deciding whether or not John Gruden was going to be joining them on the field. I'm sure this was a decision that was made above the locker room level, and it's just something that all these players are going to have to deal with regardless of how they feel about it. Amy, your words, truly are echoing our sentiments here, and we appreciate your time as always. Let me ask you this question though. When you're at the beach, which we disturbed you from, are you like a suntan lady or are you in the water? What part of the beach do you like to enjoy the most?
Every single possible part of it. This morning, walked down to the beach super duper early, got my coffee at a little kind of surfer shack, walked out on the pier, and I watched a pod of dolphins just frolicking. They were there yesterday too. I tweeted out a picture of a dolphin. It wasn't a great picture. A lot of people thought it was a shark fin because I didn't get him when he was, doing the up and down dolphin thing. I stood on the pier, I drank my coffee, and I watched the dolphins play. And it's hard to think of a better way to start Wednesday.
Well, they're all saying, hi, Amy, which we like to say
were.
every day also.
I think you're right. I think they were, and I said hi to them.
Many of us consider us a frolicking pod of whales, of orcas.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
We're actually going to rename the show. Patent pending. Amy, it was delightful as always. We'll do it again soon. Thank you so much for your time.
I hope so. Always my pleasure.
There she goes, Amy Trask, Princess of Darkness, former CEO of the Raiders, CBS sports analyst on the NFL.
She's the best.
She's the best.
She's the best.
She's the best round. And we're going to get to the other best. Dan Zimborski of Fangraphs. Nobody covers baseball like this man. He has the analytical eye. What's wrong with the Padres? Can they recover? That coming up next.
Our other best friend, Dan Zimborski, will join us next. We'll talk a little Padres, even though we may not want to. Coming up next.
This update is presented by the Jim Betrayal Real Estate Team. Dan Zimborski coming up next to talk about some of the Padres numbers that have been going wrong here this season, but they do lose again last night. That's their fourth straight loss. Final score 6-1 to the Mariners. Padres get just 4 hits in the game. They do get a day off today before starting a 3-game series in Arizona against the D-backs. NL West yesterday, Brewers beat the Rockies 7-6. Giants lose to the Angels 4-1. Dodgers beat the Diamondbacks 2-0. Also in baseball, new Phillies pitcher Michael Lorenzen, who was acquired at the trade deadline, he threw a no-no yesterday for the Phillies over the Nationals. Quite the impression. This is the 4th no-hitter in Major League this season. In the NFL, ex-Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison after that DUI in November of 2021. It resulted in the death of a young woman and her dog. Sad story. 3 to 10 years again for Henry Ruggs. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Betrayal has the buyers. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
Our iHeartRadio Music Festival is back, and it's happening September 22nd and 23rd at T-Mobile Arena out in Las Vegas. 2 nights on one stage and live performances by the Foo Fighters, Fall Out Boy, Lenny Kravitz, Tim McGraw, Kane Brown. The list goes on and on and on. And while the world is listening on iHeartRadio, you could be there with 3 chances every weekday for you to win your trip for 2, plus $1,000 spending cash. Just keep listening for your chance to win. Your next chance coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. So keep it locked in for that. Also, make sure that you have the free iHeartRadio app downloaded to whatever device you own. You can take us with you wherever you go. Little San Diego Sports 760, Big Rich, TD, and Fletch right in your pocket. It's cool. It's easy. I mean, everybody's doing it.
Everybody's doing it.
Doing a thing.
Also, find us on YouTube as
Oh,
well.
that's right. That's right.
So if you listen every day, we appreciate it. Keep doing that. But if you also want to watch, go to YouTube, type in Big Rich TD Fletch. You'll find us. And if you subscribe today, you're going to be in the hopper to win either Dirks Bentley tickets or Godsmack tickets. So that's cool. Become a new subscriber, win some tickets in San Diego. Sounds like a win. All right, joining us right now on the phone is Dan Zimborski of Fangraphs. He's one of our favorite interview guests. We haven't had him on as much this season because we have a feeling the news is going to be bad. Because the Padres have been one of the most frustrating watches and the most inexplicable teams in baseball. They're hard to explain. They seem ultra talented. The results have been terrible. Dan, I guess we have to do this. What's wrong with the Padres?
Well, let's start by saying the news is bad. They're a quite difficult predicament as you suggested, because there are a lot of reasons to like this team, and a lot of them just haven't worked out. Jake Cronenworth has not been good this year. There have been holes where they did not expect there to be holes, and the team suffered. And even if you still like them as much as you did in the preseason, the fact is there are only 47 games left, and they have a huge hole. They're in a far worse position than they started the season, and the calendar is now, a huge enemy of the team.
Yeah, you know what? I always say you don't want to have holes where there's not supposed to be holes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
boats and baseball teams. I've always said no holes, the better.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Dan, I mean, right now, any chance in your gut, in your heart, that the Padres make the playoffs?
I mean, there's always a chance, and not just kind of in the Dumb and Dumber sense of I'm saying there's a chance, but a lot of things do need to go their way. If you look at the math behind how they make the playoffs, they no longer control their own destiny. Essentially, if the Padres won at a 100-win pace for the rest of the season, which would be, way above expectations going into the season, if they won games at that pace, they'd still only finish 84 and 78, and that probably doesn't get you into the playoffs this year. So they need to both be absurdly good for the next almost 2 months, and they need some help from the teams in front of them. Now, there could be help from the teams in front of them because, for example, the Reds are not that great a team. They've been handily outscored this year by like 30 runs. So there could be help, but a lot has to go their way.
Danny, I know it's pointless to look back in the rearview mirror, but the trade deadline wasn't all that long ago, and the Padres ended up adding to this team when a lot of people, myself included, thought maybe they should look at selling off some pieces. Because at this point, if you get to the end of the season and say you can't come to a deal with Blake Snell, you can't re-sign Josh Hader, what happens then? You didn't get anything for him. In fact, you let go a high prospect like Jackson Wolf to bring in other pieces who haven't had a big impact as of yet. If you were to go back and you were in AJ Preller's chair at the trade deadline, would you have made the same moves he made?
I probably wouldn't. My inclination personally would have been to retool, but I'm also not in the position where I'm essentially one of the public faces of the team, and there's a different set of pressures and priorities that come along with that. I'm a cynical guy. I will push teams to win until it's time to cut and burn, and that's not always the best from a ticket selling perspective.
Dan, I look at this team from two standpoints. One, I look at them sympathetically as a former athlete and a former professional athlete, understanding the pressures that they're under to perform on a daily basis. But at the same time, you're hearing things from key players like Juan Soto, like they're giving up, right? Like in games where they're trailing, all of a sudden they give up. Is there a predictive measure to heart? I know you study the numbers. Is there a way to look at paper and say before a season, here's a team that is going to struggle in tight games versus a different team that may soar above expectations in the same positions?
I've never seen anything that kind of works in that way because you can't deny. I mean, no one can deny that when they're on a team that's struggling, it also affects how they feel about their team. If the Padres, if you say they were, in first place right now, I bet they would feel a lot better about the team. It's always hard to say how a team feels in hindsight. I think the last team I can remember, and I don't remember it personally because I'm slightly too young, that was great and unhappy were probably some of the late 70s Yankees teams with Munson and Reggie Jackson fighting. I think that if the team was playing better, they'd feel a lot better about their team because right now it's easy to get discouraged because the record isn't like notably bad, but it's terrible compared to expectations. And there are things that make it feel not so good. For example, the Padres have lost a lot of close games. Their Pythagorean record, which is basically their record converted into a win-loss record, is actually well above 500. You would expect a team with that run differential to have a winning record. And when you've lost a lot of close games and you're not meeting expectations and you feel kind of your window closing, I don't know many people who would feel great about the situation under those circumstances.
Dan, prior to the season starting, was there anything, I mean, when you heard the lineup, when they talked about the team, was there anything that stood out to you where you thought, well, that may not work?
My big concern wasn't even really the lineup, except for DH. I did talk about quite extensively that there was a huge risk with bringing in Nelson Cruz at DH simply because he was a 42-year-old, and those players tend to have pretty steep decline curves. My worry, which hasn't completely come to fruition, is I was worried that the rotation was a lot thinner going into the season than in the previous 2 years. When you look back before 2022, they kind of had like a 6, a 7th, and 8th starter all lined up. You didn't really have that this year, but that isn't really the reason that the Padres have struggled. They're actually leading the league in ERA right now. Blake Snell has come around just really well in recent months. He's looking like an ace again. So the things I predicted to be the problem weren't the problem. They just had different problems that I didn't expect.
Yeah, Dan, it's wild because we had the same thoughts going into the season. We were just worried that they were only going to have 3 guys in the starting rotation, really. But then Lugo and Waka both had some really good starts, impactful. They've been able to fill in the gaps with Martinez and then Weathers before he got traded. But the bullpen's been a real problem for the Padres. Where do they stack up, especially as of late, it feels like? But where do they stack up across the league in terms of bullpen depth?
They're definitely below average, especially when you talk about depth. Obviously, having Josh Hader at the front is huge. But once you get past kind of, Nick Martinez, Steven Wilson, the quality has fallen off considerably. And going back to the lineup for a second, I mean, if you asked me where the problems of the team are coming into the season, I probably would not have said, Xander Bogaerts and Manny Machado being disappointing.
Right. But they have been largely disappointing. And you know what's crazy about that is the fact that because you have Juan Soto and you have Fernando Tatis Jr. and you have Manny Machado, even, who Padres fans, he's a known quantity here. Xander Bogaerts hasn't really received much blame, even though he's being paid $250 million over his contract to make this team better. It's wild how underperforming this team has been, that some of the worst performers have been protected because they've been overshadowed by other bigger names underperforming. It's a bonkers season. All right, let's distill this to one final question for you. So the Padres have about 47 games left, if I have my math correct. And in order to make the playoffs, they'll probably have to be 30-17, something like that. What would you say right now are the chances that the NL can be decided with 85 wins in terms of the final wild card spot? And what odds would you put on the Padres being there?
I actually have that data in front of me. I actually simmed it out this morning for an unrelated thing. But I have the 50% threshold where a team has a 50% chance of making the playoffs as a wild card 3 spot at 85.8 wins.
Okay.
So if you can win 86 games, essentially, you have about a 50% chance of getting into the playoffs in the NL via the 3rd wild card spot. So I would probably just, eyeballing it, I'd probably say 1-5, 1-4, somewhere in the low 20s. As I said, I mean, the Padres are advantaged in the fact that some of the teams ahead of them have problems of their own, but that's not going to be enough to take care of itself.
Dan, you were spot on. Clinch wild card, 31.2% according to Fangraphs.
Wow. It's pretty wild. It is pretty wild. Dan, we appreciate it. It wasn't good news, but that's fine. It's not your fault. The numbers are doing the talking for you. But buddy, we appreciate your time as always. We'll do it again soon.
Always fun, guys. Maybe next time we'll have sunnier topics.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, we hope so. Dan Zimborski,
TV or something.
Yeah. Maybe we'll just have him on to talk about anything other than the Padres.
What are you
He's like a
right now?
Dungeons and Dragons guy, right?
Yeah. He's
Wait,
into
the
video
D&D
gaming.
guy?
Yeah.
Did you see Post Malone bought a, the
Magic the Gathering.
Magic the Gathering? Yeah, he's into Magic the Gathering, the cards.
Yeah.
He purchased a card that people are saying is worth $2 million.
Yeah.
They will not give the actual price he paid, but we do know that he did. It's the most expensive card in his collection, he said, and we do know he paid at least $800,000 for another card.
Wow.
I have had a roommate in college who was super into that game, and it is the nerdiest, craziest game I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I had a cousin who was into it, and I got into it as a result. So I had like Magic decks.
Oh, wow.
When I was a kid, yeah. And I didn't really understand the game. I just liked the artwork on the cards, and I was into it because I looked up to my cousin. And so I had these decks of cards. I realized as an adult, because I'm aware of how much the collectible value of some of these, especially older cards, are.
Right.
And this is when Magic the Gathering was first getting popular when I was a kid. Some of the cards that I owned, if I still own them today, I could retire.
Dude, my buddy was in like $10,000 worth of credit card debt our senior year of college, would not sell his card collection, which was worth $60,000.
It's probably way more now.
Would not sell it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You know, it's crazy what things are worth to some people and what they're worth to others.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I never in my life would I wouldn't pay $6.
I mean, dude,
let alone 60,000.
It's crazy.
How's Caleb's cards doing?
Caleb's cards, he's still so okay. So the number keeps growing of how much he's actually spent.
He should have
on
done
these.
Magic cards, not baseball cards.
Without a doubt, he should have. I think he purchased roughly $5,000 in cards, which is insane. I think he sold roughly $3,000 in cards.
That is your spawn.
That's better than I thought it was going to be. That's pretty good, actually. He's doing all right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if he doesn't make a profit, you're going to kick him out of the house, and you're going to kick him out with your foot. And that foot is going to have an arch support on it from the Good Feet store. I want to talk to you guys about the Good Feet store and their arch supports. They have numerous benefits, from pain relief to better balance, better performance, and injury prevention in anything you do. For example, today, the show, Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, we're going golfing. We're going to be over at Carlton Oaks, and Ben just took out his arch supports. Yeah, he's wearing them in his loafers. He's going to switch them over to his golf shoes. We're all going to be wearing our arch supports because they prevent us from having bad days after the day of walking. So I don't know how many steps. I mean, last time I was on a golf course, I think I walked like 12,000 steps. It was 107 degrees. I woke up the next morning, I was dehydrated, but guess what? My back didn't hurt because I wore my arch support. So if you're struggling with knee, hip, back, foot, or ankle pain, you need to get into a Good Feet store today or check them out at goodfeet.com because these arch supports are a lifesaver. Okay, coming up next, a record was broken in the United States. We'll fill you in on what it was on the other side. He's the youngest ever. We'll fill you in on what he's the youngest in. Coming up next. A lot of contributions on the text line today, naming tumors and such.
I feel like we may have to replay that commercial right now.
We just listened to the Charmin toilet paper commercial, and the three of us were absolutely jamming out.
That was a gem.
Which
we had Charmin on the show.
Yeah, we did. Once upon a time, we talked to them about their toilet paper during the pandemic, and asked them about really what I believe it was what separates one ply and two ply. Wasn't that the question we had?
No, it was does it go over the top or over the back?
Yeah.
What's the correct way?
Which way?
There it is.
Wow.
How about the
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Charmin so incredibly so.
I like that a lot.
I mean, I'm gonna go by Charmin.
I'm damn right.
That worked.
So when I say we're naming
Charmin, we
tumors,
do not have an official toilet paper of Big Rich, CD, and Fletch yet.
not yet.
And we
And
could
we need
use it.
So we have a listener named Bob in New Mexico, or his mom lives in New Mexico. He's turned his mom onto our show, and they laugh along every morning. Here's the thing, though. Bob's mom is going through a struggle. She has a non-cancerous tumor in her brain, and they're trying to keep hopes up and spirits high. And so they asked us to try to come up with a name for this tumor. Our text line has weighed in with many different names.
So like at the end of that last segment, we we're talking about Magic, and the 858 said, Magic the Gathering? Please go back to Padres talk.
The problem is every time we talk about the Padres, everybody's bummed out. Like, we started the show with the Padres this morning, and collectively we were sad.
First segment, worst segment today.
First segment, worst segment.
You know what I like? When our first segment's our best segment.
Yeah, it was a bummer because guess what? The Padres are a team that not only just got basically blanked by the Mariners, who are another team that's struggling in Major League Baseball right now, but on top of it, you had Juan Soto basically admit to giving up post-game.
The whole team.
The whole team. He was like, we give up. It was like, what? So, yeah, we apologize for skewing our attention from talking Padres all day long. They are a bummer. They are a huge bummer.
Not a bummer sipping on this long ball.
Yeah, buddy.
Right. Little hard iced tea in the morning.
These are the 10%ers, by the way.
Wow. Oh, is this ice from our ice maker?
No, this is ice from the bag that we brought in a long time ago
Okay,
for
cool.
Bar Cart Friday
Cool,
that we never took out of the freezer.
This is the one with E. coli?
Wait, was
No.
that like that 30-pound bag of ice?
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes up the whole freezer.
Yeah, I bought that months ago, and it's
Okay.
just been sitting in there.
Good.
Jesus, unwashed hands just diving in.
Well, mainly mine,
Yeah.
but they are unwashed.
Mainly mine.
We are going out to play golf today, thanks to our friends at Long Ball, which is why we cracked one open. Over 20 golf courses in San Diego. You find Long Ball, longballshooter.com for all of the retailers that it's sold at. I find mine at Keg and Bottle, personally. That's where I go. But they're also at Costco, Total Wine & More, everywhere you go.
Yeah, so pick up some Long Ball hard iced tea. There's a 13-year-old that just signed a professional contract with Sacramento's soccer team.
It's the USL, right?
13.
So it's actually the same league that the Loyal play in.
So he is going to be in their developmental league, but he signed a contract and he's like 13 in 5 months. So this kid who's in high school is going to finish, I guess, his school day, and then his parents are going to drive him over to soccer practice with the other adults who are playing soccer professionally. He's a phenom, and it's an amazing story. I'm blanking on his name right now. We have it written down somewhere.
It is. Hang on, I'm clicking on it. Davian Kimbrough.
That's right, Kimbrough. So this dude, look, this is where the world is turning. I'm not sure it's a good thing.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, no.
I mean, because we're
this
seeing,
goes kind of hand in hand with the Baby Gronk stuff to me.
yeah,
It's too much too soon.
it's
I
the
agree.
NIL stuff that's happening at the college football level. It will start infiltrating youth sports now.
Well, and then we don't know what that kind of pressure does to a 13-year-old brain. Like, there is actual brain chemistry issues in that time period of your life where you're growing so much that the pressure of now, okay, I'm being paid to be a professional athlete,
I feel
it
like
can mess with you.
because we are such like accomplished and complete human beings as adults.
Yeah.
Like we
Right.
are, we
Right.
we can speak on this.
Yeah, and I really want a 13-year-old to experience the things I experienced at 13, like ghost riding your bike up a ramp just to see how far it would fly and then break.
Or stealing firecrackers from the 4th of July display that your uncle put on in his driveway so that you can later set them off with your friends behind the high school.
Or light a field on fire.
Or light a field on fire.
Like Ben did.
Yeah, I did
like,
that.
Yeah. Or, sneaking out of the house at 10 o'clock at night to go to your friend's house, and then a car light starts shining on you, so you take off running and run into a mailbox.
Yeah.
And slice
Like
your
Travis
stomach
did.
open, like I did.
Yeah.
and then getting home, and my parents already knew that I left and didn't know why I had to crawl out the window.
Yeah, well, we used to sneak out at like 10 o'clock at night. How did we think they didn't know?
I don't know. We're dumb.
Good point.
Yeah.
How about drinking warm gin out of a basement boiler room and then barking at the moon for about an hour and a half in your friend Mark's backyard?
Yeah, you know what? Maybe being a professional athlete at 13-year-old is okay.
I think little Kimbrough is going to do okay.
Right.
Yeah.
They
actually.
gave him number 14 though, which seems wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Well,
should have given him 13.
They should have, for sure. Who do we think?
Amy Trask,
Yep.
CBS Sports, Princess of Darkness. That was an awesome chat. Travis, great question by you, by the way.
Thank you very
I was
much.
not going to go to John Gruden. You went there, and she gave a great answer.
Hey,
Also, Dan
even a
Zamborski,
blind
Fangraphs,
squirrel.
telling us why the Padres are going to keep sucking.
Yeah. Well,
That's
yeah.
great. That's great
He
news.
honestly really did.
Yeah.
The Herd is next. He's going to be talking mostly Magic the Gathering.